Get nasty on a Monday afternoon. It's the Fast Lane here, 101 ESPN. Jamie Rivers, Carey Davis, Andrew Marsh. Our guy Anthony out for the week. He's taking a well-deserved week off with the family, going to see some friends and family, I believe. It's a little cross-country tour, Carey.
Yeah.
What do you think that looks like?
Oh, chaos.
Yeah.
I mean, when you got kids that are like under the age of 10, and they're all cooped up in the car for a cross-country.
You said like 15-hour drive or something.
Yeah, you know.
They're driving?
They're driving.
Oh, man.
Marshy, think about it. He's got 3 kids, plus him and Kristen.
I mean,
that's 5 plane tickets.
That's a lot.
That is a lot.
Expensive.
He's not making CD money, you know?
Well, hey, making more.
I just paid.
Probably is, actually.
I just paid for a round trip ticket. It was pretty expensive.
Yeah.
So I don't blame him. But 15-hour drive is pretty tough.
That's what you get to, though. Like when we used to go back to Canada in the summers when the season was over, and we'd load up the 4 kids and the 2 dogs and all that. That's why I bought an RV the one time. I'm like, this is going to be great. It wasn't.
It wasn't great?
Yeah, it wasn't great.
Yeah.
The guy bought the RV, took the trip to Canada for 3 weeks, I think is what it was. Came back, sold the RV.
You were over it?
Oh, yeah.
RV had more problems than you expected?
Just, it was a real pain in the butt, you know? It wasn't worth it. So.
I saw a movie about that once.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, we did. Yeah.
It was based on Jamie's trip.
Uh-huh. Yeah, probably.
Pretty damn close, I'm not going to lie. All right, fellas, we just came off a weekend here. The Redbirds, not great against the Milwaukee Brewers. Let's start our little exit survey here. For you guys, biggest storyline, CD?
The Cardinals not finding ways to win games as they were in May. Just, losing 3 of the 4. You had an opportunity to split the series there on Sunday on Father's Day. Good game, close game, but were unable to score when you needed to score. And the month of June has been on the downside. And this is
June swoon, some would say.
I heard Katie Wu saying that earlier today. It's frustrating because May gave you all the good feels. Like you felt like, oh man, this team could do something spectacular. And then I know we're going to get into it later. The trade for the Giants. You got moving parts around the league that will probably impact you. So, yeah, I think it was just a missed opportunity. And it's a team that's a division rival where they leapfrogged you in the standings. You were in the front. You were second in the division going into this series, and now you're third. You're tied for third with the Cincinnati Reds. So, for me, that's the biggest storyline. Just not taking care of your opportunities when they were presented.
Marshy?
Yeah, same with me, and you mentioned it. The Cardinals now are leapfrogged by not only the Brewers, but they are now tied with the Reds. And if you look at the website, it has the Reds above the Cardinals, even though they're tied. However, I just think that Thursday game really set the tone for what the series was.
The Miz?
It wasn't good. Like, it wasn't good. I know you guys talked about it on Friday, but...
Yeah, we blame Bradford on Friday.
We did.
Oh, why?
Well, Bradford, I asked him multiple times. I said, Bradford, he said, we're going against this guy. He's making his debut. We're going to shell him. We're going to do our Lars Newbar leadoff homer. I said, Bradford, no. No, Carey is fine. No, we're going to get 5 or 6 runs against it. I said, Bradford, you don't understand that the fast lane they have mystical powers. Whatever you say, like Jamie keeps saying, the damn Florida Panthers are done. They're the Florida Panthers.
Yeah.
What are they now? You stop it.
Yeah.
3-goal lead, worse than hockey. Now they got a 1-game lead. It's
Marshy
terrible.
and I got to go figure out how to do this damn just for men, because the Oilers clearly are done.
Carey? Leave the Panthers out of this.
But Bradford mentioned how poorly the Miz was going to pitch and how well.
And what did I say that day?
You said we don't play well against guys that we don't know.
Cardinals cannot hit a young pitcher they've never heard of, let alone the 6'7" Neanderthal who throws 103.
The only damn thing that stopped him was the mound. Damn near broke his ankle.
He's not very agile. Damn it.
So, yeah, we blame Bradford on Thursday, coming in on Friday.
Man.
But, yeah, it was a bad weekend. Bad weekend.
Well, that Thursday game, to me, it set the tone for what the weekend is. And it's a good thing that they won Saturday.
Yeah.
Good thing they won Saturday. My kudos for the weekend is Nolan Gorman.
Okay.
Whoa. You're jumping way ahead here.
No, I know.
I haven't given my storyline.
Well, I'm not going to say why. I'm just giving...
What?
I'm teasing.
The guy goes away for a couple of days. He comes back, and he wants to talk about the whole show in one segment.
He's ready to roll.
All right, my storyline, much like CD, is zero clutch offense. for the entire weekend. 5 for 27 with runners in scoring position. It's not great.
good.
I mean, 0 for 7 in the game last night. You end the game with two guys in scoring position, second and third, and you go down quietly without even making a noise. So that, to me, was the biggest storyline, is no clutch offense for the Cardinals. All right, Marshy, I'm going to do you a favor. Your kudos. Go ahead.
Yeah, my kudos goes to Willson Contreras. No, I'm kidding. No, it's Nolan Gorman. Even though I did like what Willson had to say this weekend, it got me going. But no, I mean, he ends up hitting the home run on Saturday. He goes 2 for 4 yesterday. And I think that he is starting to take advantage of his opportunity. And I'm really happy for him because we've been down on him at points, and I know fans
Carey
have been as well. Definitely Carey.
What? I like the guy.
No, you don't.
You got to hit home runs. That's what he's paid to do. You hit one, you get the love. You don't, you get no love. What do you want from me? I'm a realist.
Oh, is that what you call it?
That's what I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Carey, you're going to love what's trending.
Yeah. Oh, gosh, yes. Carey, your kudos.
Nolan Gorman is a great pick. I probably will go Willson Contreras. He is, I mean, man, I love that guy. I love what he brings to the team. I love his demeanor. I love his intensity. I love his attitude and how he takes care of his business day to day. You run into me, don't run into me. Don't do it. Just mind your business. Go, veer off, you're out. Get the hell out of my way. I'm here. I was here first. Move. And I just like how he handles his business. He's a professional. He has pretty much gone through. I could not imagine the roller coaster that he's been on in his tenure here. And he's steadfast. He has not moved. He has not been moved around. He is not moved around.
He's been moved around.
He's moved around positionally, but not in spiritually. He's fine. He's planted in who he is, firm in who he is. And so, yeah, I give my kudos to Willson Contreras.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I had Contreras written down, too. We are going to talk about him at length here coming up at some point in the show here. But to me, he's the leader of the team right now. Like, when you think of the Cardinals, like we talk about who's the face of the Cardinals. We always talk about, they don't have a face of the... Contreras, for me, is the face of the Cardinals right now. He's got the energy, the passion, the grit. He's performing well. He does whatever the team asks him to do. And then, Marshy, much like you, I liked his F you attitude to the Brewers. You know, basically calling out Rhys Hoskins. And then how about getting hit by a pitch and being so unfazed by it, you go and, like, it's one thing to turn and go fight Quintana.
Yeah.
It's another thing to act like you didn't even bother me at all. Here, let me go get that ball for you.
Like a fly.
Yeah, here you go.
So funny.
Here's your ball. I'm out of here.
You're welcome.
So, yeah, Contreras is my kudos. Criticism, CD.
Again, I mean, the storyline is the criticism for me. Again, not taking care of business. You mentioned runners in scoring position. The game yesterday, you had Nolan Gorman lay down a great bunt. I don't know if
that was awesome.
That was a great bunt, and it's one of the things that drove me crazy when I would see lefties have the entire left side of the field because the entire infield is on the right side, and they just, I can't hit it there. You're a damn professional. Figure it out. Nolan Gorman laid the bunt down. You got first and second. You get runners on second and third, and you don't come up clutch in those moments to tie the game.
Yeah, what happened after that?
Jordan Walker, Victor Scott, and Mason Wynn didn't. They all K'd, didn't they? They all strike out?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what happened.
Yes.
Yeah, guys got to do their job. And it just didn't happen. So that's my biggest criticism, not just for yesterday, but the entire series, not doing your job well enough to win games.
Marshy.
I literally wrote down the same thing, not so much for the entire series, but yesterday watching the end of that game, we talk about a chance to tie the game, maybe split the series if you can score there. Arenado, great at bat.
Smoked one up.
So long of an at bat, he had to go get a new one. Grabbed a new bat. Then you have Nolan Gorman put the bunt down. And then the three guys that are the future of this team, you expect something. Put the ball in play. There's even a wild pitch, right, that puts runners at second and third.
Yep.
And you can't get them home. Yeah. Like, what are we doing? Jordan Walker looked at a ball right down the pipe. What are we doing? Like, that was not a competitive at bat at all. Victor Scott, out of the three, I'd say was probably the most competitive at bat. But
Mason waved at his. It looked bad. He might as well have had one hand on the bat, just waving.
It was just not good.
Yeah.
This is not a good finish to the weekend. Very disappointing, to say the least.
All right, my criticism, I'm going to go with an individual more than just a group or a systematic thing. Lars Nootbaar, man, like, he is gone. Like, the FBI is looking for him at this point because he is nowhere to be found. He 0 for the weekend. I don't even know what his stats are for the last 2 weeks.
He's got 1 hit. He's got 5 hits this month.
Yeah.
5 for 44.
Carey.
He's batting 114.
Yeah.
0 hits this weekend. I know he got 1 game off. Okay, fine. 0 hits.
His last 7 games, he has 23 at-bats, no hits, 1 walk, 13 strikeouts.
Yeah, so he's my criticism. All right, fast forward here. What do the Cards do now? Marshall.
Well, my biggest question for this team is who are they? We thought we knew what this team was in May, and now
thought they were.
They are who we thought they were. Maybe. But I keep seeing there's so many games. We're playing so many games. I don't want to hear that. I don't. They are playing a lot of games in a lot of
teams
days.
are too.
They are. That's why I don't want to hear or see excuses. I just want to know who is this team? Are they fun? Are they the fun team that we talked about a couple weeks ago? Or are they phonies?
I think they are this. They are the team that played well in May. They are the team that has not performed well in June, and the team that didn't perform in April. They are that. They are just them. This is who they are. They're going to be inconsistent, and this is why I have been harping on. You need to do things to continue to prepare for the future. This is not a team that is a contender to make. If they make the playoffs, they will be done. It'll be one and done. You have 1 series. See you later. Hasta la vista. Good try.
All right, so for me, my biggest question after the series was the same one I asked you guys. What do the Cards do now? Well, other teams are moving and shaking right now around the league. A huge trade that could impact the Cardinals ultimately. We're going to talk about that next here in the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN.
Cheap, fun.
Let's get dirty this summer with my friends over at Dirt Cheap. By the way, they've got an app with a reward system. I was just in there on the weekend. Picked up a case of bourbon, Carey. I sure did. Punched in my rewards number, and that went right onto my account. It was awesome. And as I move on, I can cash in on some of those rewards in the future. They've also got some new locations out there. So if you're looking for a Dirt Cheap near you, Fredericktown, Washington, Hillsbury, and a brand new location coming soon in Wentzville. You can order ahead, too, on the app, and you can get the curbside pickup or delivery. They also have drive-through available at certain locations. Get on the app, check that out. Pool parties, grad parties, July 4th weekend, any weekend for that matter. There's always a ton in stock for those events and dates. They've got unbelievable selections of your beers, your wines, your vodkas, your tequilas, and your bourbons. Please do not be fooled by the words dirt cheap. That is the prices, not the product. Like I just told Carey, I was in there this weekend picking up some product for a nice weekend with the family, and especially on Father's Day. It was awesome, and my friends over at Dirt Cheap always take care of everyone. Please walk into your nearest location. Tell them Jamie Rivers sent you in, and if you're looking for more information, visit them at cheapcheapfunfun.com. And remember to have fun, but be careful out there. here to the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. Jamie Rivers with you, Carey Davis, Andrew Marsh. Right before heading to the break, we talked about there being a big trade in the Major League Baseball League, and it could affect the Cardinals. If you don't know, which I'm sure you do by now, the Rafael Devers saga is over in Boston. The Red Sox traded Devers to the Giants for Jordan Hicks, Kyle Harrison, James Tibbs, and Jose Bello. I wouldn't consider that a king's ransom for a player like Rafael Devers. Like, if you guys look at that list of players, who's the one you highlight as, okay, like, that's the number one piece of the trade for the Red Sox?
Jordan Hicks.
Okay, so, but that's relevant in this situation, okay? A couple things. Before we get into, like, what the Cardinals can do and all that stuff, as far as their trading individually, let's talk about how this affects the Cardinals overall. Because the moment I heard about this trade, and I could be alone on this one, but I thought in my head, the Cardinals are screwed now at this point. And let me explain why. Cardinals currently sit 7 games back of the Cubs. And early on this year, we thought the only path to the playoffs for the Cardinals was to win the NL Central Division. Mm-hmm. Well, I know it's a long time to go yet, but they're 7 games back of the Cubs, and the Cubs don't look like they're going to stub their toe too much this year. So then let's go to the next one. We thought, okay, the wild card became a reality 2 or 3 weeks ago when the Cardinals were right there in the second wild card spot. Well, we take a look at the NL wild card. You got the Phillies, the Giants, the Padres, the Brewers, then the Cardinals, who are 3 games out of a wild card spot. Now, why do I bring this up? Because out of most of the teams that we saw there, with the Phillies, the Padres, and you even brought up the Braves at one point, Carey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they might be done.
They might be done. But the Giants were the team we said, okay, we don't really believe they are what they are right now. But then they went and got Rafael Devers.
Yeah.
How does that change things now for the Cardinals?
Well, I think that puts the Giants. You got, 3 or 4 teams in front of the Cardinals right now, and then you're also tied with the Reds, and the Arizona Diamondbacks are a half game behind you as well. So there is so much clutter in that wild card division, in my opinion, where it's going to be tough. And we went through the same situation last year where I said, oh, you're only 3 games out. Yeah, but you got 4 teams in front of you, and you have to have all of those teams kind of have a lapse at some point for you to leapfrog them and be a team that's going to make the wild card. And so that was my issue last year, and it's similar to this year. You're behind so many teams that are in front of you that I don't know how this plays out, but it doesn't feel like it plays out well. Right now, the Giants are second in the wild card, and they're ahead of you. They are fighting with the Dodgers. They're only a couple of games back for the Dodgers in that division for first place. So it's so many teams in front of you. The Giants making that move to go get a bat that's going to provide power and provide more depth in that lineup. That to me became a detriment to the Cardinals. And now you ask yourself, if you're playing this poorly, other teams around you are getting better. I'm sure there are going to be some other teams come trade deadline that look to make some moves to bolster their depth, whether that's in the bullpen or in their lineup. What is the correct move for the Cardinals at that point?
Yeah, this is certainly difficult now for the Cardinals because it's a combination of things. One, the Giants picking up Devers, that'll help their team for sure. But it's also the Cardinals are in the midst of a really big slide right now. If this was May, the way the Cardinals were cooking in May, and they make this move, you're like, all right, okay, I see you, Giants. Yeah. I see you. We'll see. We'll see what we got for you. But you're not right. You're not there right now. I mean, in fact, the Cardinals are 3-7 in your last 10 games.
Right.
And the Giants, for that matter, although they've lost 2 in a row, they're 7-3 in the last 10 games. So I just think that ultimately it forces the Cardinals' hands now to be sellers. And I know it's early. The trade deadline's, 5 or 6 weeks away, something like that?
July 31st? Is that right? I think it's July 31st.
All right, so give or take 4, 5, 6 weeks.
5, 6 weeks.
Okay. If you're the Cardinals, never mind the fact that I believe you have to be a seller at the deadline now. But if the return for Rafael Devers, one of the game's best bats, massive contract too, if the return is Hicks, Harrison, Tibbs, and Bello, What the hell do you think you're getting?
Trade pitching. Don't trade hitting. There you go.
Because if there was any chance of you revisiting a Nolan Arenado trade to somebody, like you're not getting anything back. And I understand that the Cardinals probably don't care. The Cardinals probably just want to get out from under the contract at this point. But other teams aren't going to just take on that whole contract without, unloading some of their pieces that they'd like to have off the team too. So not only do I think you get nothing for Nolan Arenado, but even if you deal pitching, Carey, who the hell do you have that's going to be like sought after?
Ryan Helsley. I think he's still.
But what is he ultimately going to bring back, though?
I think you
couple
get
of
back
prospects,
but some high level prospects.
I don't know,
you have to, in my opinion, you have to prepare, and this is kind of where I go. Like if you don't have a team that is competing for a championship. And I know some people, championships aren't the end-all, be-all, and you got to have, Marshy says this, you got to have playoff vibes. And to an extent, I agree with that, but not at the risk of mortgaging the future of your team. Like, your job is to be in the playoffs 3, 4, 5, 6 years in a row in a championship window, not, in my opinion, 1 year, and then you're going to miss it the next few years because you didn't do anything to get better. So if it means I missed the playoffs for 1 year, which will turn into 3 years now because they ain't did squat the last couple of years either, then that means I'm preparing myself for a 3, 4, 5 year run into the playoffs where I can battle with some of the best teams and have a team that is capable of putting together a series that can win, an NLCS and get you into the World Series, and then maybe finally putting together a series that can win you a World Series. That has to be the ultimate goal. And if this team is going to continue to muddle right in the middle, what is the purpose? So in my opinion, you have to move on, especially if guys' contracts are up at the end of the year. There's nothing there for you to hold on to and say, we can salvage this, we can salvage. No, you can't. And you couldn't do it last year. Now, this year, it feels like it's happening sooner, which I hope it makes it easier, and the Cardinals are struggling. Last year, I feel like it felt like it went all the way up into the trade deadline where people were only 3.5 games. You're in the same position now. It's going to end the same way it ended last year. Get in front of it and don't make the same mistake 2 years in a row.
And to your point, today, last year in 2024, the Cardinals were actually in the playoffs. They were a wild card team with a National League where it seemed like we didn't really know who was going to be.
Nobody wanted to do it.
Exactly. This year, it feels a lot different. There's some really good teams in that wild card mix that, a couple games here and there, they're in first place in their own division. And so now you're 3 games out instead of being a half game up. Things they look different. And this is a different team. It's a younger team. We don't know how things could go. Hell, they could start a winning streak right now, and would it shock you?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit? Okay. A little bit. Based on how they're playing right now?
Based on what I'm watching right now, dude, I'm not trying to be a jerk.
No, not at all. I understand.
Their next series is the White Sox, so, define winning streak at that point because they should win those games against the White Sox.
Start with 3?
You struggle against the White Sox. If you lose that series, I'm not saying that it's over.
They have a pretty good run here. The next 6 games are 3 against the White Sox, 3 against the Reds. I know the Reds are technically ahead of you or tied with you right now, but those are winnable games.
Let's say you take 5 of 6 heading into that series with the Cubs, and then you find your game.
4-gamer against the Cubs.
4-gamer against the Cubs. Maybe things look different in a week.
See, he's doing it, Carey. He's doing it.
I'm just saying.
He's doing it.
But I know he does it all the time, and then I'm the bad guy because then people say Carey's a hater. You don't even watch the Cardinals. You're a Dodgers fan. I'm like, I'm just being honest, but okay.
I just wonder. I just wonder if this is the week. Like, if this is the week to figure out. We always say it, but it could be. It very well could be as we inch closer and closer to deadline time. Because if you have a bad stretch again and you're, I don't know, let's just say 8 games out of a playoff spot and you're 10-plus out against the Cubs, then you really have one direction, and I think that direction is to sell.
I agree with that. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens over the next 6 games. 3 on the road, 3 at home. Then they got the four-game series against the Cubs here at Busch Stadium. We should know what the hell is going on after that for sure, in case some people don't already know. We do, gentlemen, have one heck of a series right now in the Stanley Cup Final. And Marshy had a great question. Carey. He said, "Do the Oilers have an answer for the Panthers?"
No.
We're going to find out next here. Fastly on 101 ESPN.
ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals lose 3 of 4 to Milwaukee over the weekend. The Cardinals are off today, but they'll take on the White Sox tomorrow with Matthew Liberatore on the mound. First pitch is at 6:40. Tonight on 101 ESPN, you can listen to Game 5 of the NBA Finals as the Thunder and Pacers square off. That series is tied up at 2 games apiece. Pre-game starts at 6:30. Puck drop is tip-off is at 7:30. Speaking of puck drop, the Stanley Cup will be in the building tomorrow night. The Florida Panthers have a 3-2 series lead over the Edmonton Oilers. Do the Oilers have an answer for the Panthers? We'll discuss that next right here in the Fast Lane. I'm Andrew Marsh, and the Sports Center update is driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Panthers up 3-2 right now in the Stanley Cup final. Looking for their back-to-back Stanley Cup championship. And we'll see. It's a tough one. We're here in the Fast Lane. Carey Davis, Jamie Rivers, Andrew Marsh, our guy Anthony, taking a nice week off for himself. But guys, what were your first of all? Can we do something right now? Can we make a pact?
Be honest.
Can we make a pact?
Okay, let me hear it.
That during these segments, we speak honestly.
Okay.
And
you look in the damn mirror when you say this.
Well, don't point your finger at me.
You're pointing at me.
No, during these segments, we can speak freely without the hockey gods punishing us.
Okay.
Okay, hockey gods, you heard that too?
You heard it?
Okay. All right, so now, watching that game the other night, it's a massive Game 5 in Edmonton. The whole city is out of control. What are your thoughts watching that game?
I get frustrated with the Oilers. How and why do you continue to be down 2 goals, 3 goals? Like, why in the hell do you keep letting the Florida Panthers get up by a couple of... it feels like it. You keep allowing them to apply pressure and be up by 2 to 3 goals before the first period ends, and now you're in chase mode. And the game, in my opinion, it just shifts a little bit. There's more pressure on you. You got to be perfect in goal. You got to be perfect on defense. You got to be perfect not turning the puck over in your zone or in the offensive zone. Like you have to do everything perfectly once you start getting down, and that's the most frustrating part about what the Oilers. Now they've been able to come back and force overtime and do all and win some of those games. But it's not a recipe for success versus a damn team that just won the damn Stanley Cup final last year.
Against you.
Against you. It doesn't seem like a recipe. Like if I were drawing up a recipe for how I want to, I would not. I'd give guys, we can come back against this team. They'll have no, don't keep doing that. That's dumb. So that I need to see the Oilers score first. Score 2 or 3 times first before the Panthers score. And then the game, I feel like it'll just shift in the Oilers' direction.
I think the biggest thing that the Oilers don't have, and while they do have 2 of the best players in the world, they don't have a Brad Marchand on the team. That's how you win.
Well, Corey Perry and Evander Kane were supposed to be. Now, Corey Perry's having a hell of a playoff.
He is. And kudos to him.
And let's remember, they're also missing Zach Hyman.
They are missing Zach Hyman.
Massive piece of the puzzle there.
I don't know does the series look different, though, if he's playing. It
adds a lot of depth to your team.
It does. It does. I don't know. It feels like it's 3-2, so they're not out of it, but it feels like outside of, I'd say, Game 1 and a little bit of Game 2, even when they won Game 4, and they came back and won, they have not looked good to the point where I can say this is a Stanley Cup winning team.
Yeah.
Now, again, they have 2 of the best players in the world, so they're still alive. Anything can happen, but they need to show up big time.
Yeah. So here's my take on where we're at right now. The Florida Panthers, they play a very smothering style of hockey. It starts with the forecheck. They give you nothing in the neutral zone. They take away the middle of the ice. They play inside the dots. They stack the deck in their defensive zone. So it's just like you have to earn every inch of ice when you're out there. Now, they stubbed their toe. They stubbed their toe in Game 4. They got up by 3. They got a little complacent. They got away from their tenacious brand of checking, and the Oilers stuck it where the sun don't shine. And Bobrovsky did not have a great game. He had an average game at best. Well, the problem that the Oilers have is that the Panthers now know they stubbed their toe in that game. And if you watch the next game, the Oilers had a hard time getting a lot going. They did. And when they did, Bobrovsky was right there making the saves.
Yeah.
I mean, the Oilers were frustrated more than once at not being able to get anything going offensively. The Panthers stuck to their game plan. And it's the little things. Brad Marchand, he's 37, I think? 37 years old, I think. He's unrestricted. He beats his winger twice off of the faceoffs. So, Carey, that'd be like a 37-year-old wide receiver beating a 23-year-old cornerback off the line.
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
You got to figure it out.
You got to figure it out.
Be
but
better.
He was smart. He beat the guy off the faceoff, and then he just outwilled the Oilers and outskilled the Oilers to score 2 goals in very similar fashion. The Oilers right now aren't getting that from Group B of their team. Group A and McDavid and Draisaitl, every time they're on the ice, like I hold my breath. Because you're like, they're one step away and one flick of the wrist away from scoring a goal. Yeah. Almost every single time they're on the ice. But then once they get off the ice, it's kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
And with Florida, the Barkov line with Verhaeghe and those guys and Reinhart, like that's the pressure. Then you don't get to exhale because Bennett, Tkachuk, and whoever on that line, I think it's Rodriguez now, Evan Rodriguez, they're out next. Oh, if you think you can breathe after that, you got Lundell, Luosterainen, and Marchand now as your third line. Like, there's no breathing room for the Oilers when it comes to defensive hockey.
They gotta stop taking penalties, too.
So Oilers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whether they're bad calls or good calls, you gotta stay out of the box, man.
You got to force penalties. You need to be on the power play more. Like, I think that because they are such elite scorers, if they can force and start. But when I watch the PK from the Panthers, I don't see anybody getting tired. Like, you talk to me about.
They're very
they don't
effective.
Look like very. Like, even with the ozone time for the Oilers, when they're down in there, the Panthers don't look like sluggish at any point during the penalty kill. And then they finally get out of the zone and they can change. But they don't look like it's wearing on them. And maybe you need to have, like I said, maybe you need to have more power play. Maybe the Oilers need to be on the power play more, and that could wear them down. But even on the PK, it doesn't feel like the Panthers are gassed or worried about too much that's going on the opposition.
No, and so moving the ball forward here a little bit, 2 things. One, who the hell do the Oilers start in between the pipes tomorrow night? Because Calvin Pickard came in, and between him, goalpost, and the crossbar, stole a game for the Oilers when he came in, okay? But he let in 4 goals on 18 shots.
Yeah, that was not
last game. So you didn't get the goaltending you needed from him. You really have not received the goaltending you need from Stuart Skinner. So if you're the Oilers head coach, if you're Chris Knobloch right now, who are you going with for tomorrow night's game?
I'm going back to Skinner because he actually has been pretty good when he's been pulled and then brought back in. And based on the numbers from being pulled and going back in, I would give him the nod. He's the number one. Your season's on the line. He's gotten you to a Game 7 before when your backs were against the wall. I'd go back to Skinner. If Pickard played half as better as he did, even if they lose, I'd probably maybe go back to him. But not with that performance.
I'm going Skinner. I would have went Skinner either way. I think, well, maybe not. But after that game, I'm definitely going Skinner. Yeah. I'm going with Skinner. I'm going with the guy that got me here. If we lose, damn it, we're just going to lose with our one, as opposed to the guy that replaced him. So I'm going with Skinner.
Well, you can always pull him, too, after 2 goals in the first 5 minutes of the game.
Hopefully you don't have to.
I'm with you guys. Let's make it the hat trick across the board here. I think you got to go back with Skinner. He's your number 1 goalie. He's your highest paid goalie. If you lose with your guy, I mean,
It is what it
it's
is.
what it is. Like, what are you going to do, right?
Yeah.
If you go back to Pickard and he stinks and you lose,
Too many
then
questions.
now the media is like, what are you doing, man?
Yeah.
And the ownership, the GM, all that stuff. So I think Skinner's the choice for sure. And then the last thing is, how much of an impact will Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl have in the next game?
They have to
have all the impact.
Yeah, they got to apply pressure.
How much will they have? I don't know. They don't have last change anymore.
I know.
So, I just,
Connor's going to get a nice, healthy dose of Barkov for the entire game.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they just hack and whack him the whole game.
I would.
Yeah, like completely take those two out of the game, you win the cup.
Well,
I know it's easier said than done.
Well,
but,
yeah, it's easy
But they've
in
been
theory.
doing it. They've been making it look pretty easy.
Yeah. We'll find out tomorrow night. We will be carrying the game here on 101 ESPN. Pre-game will start at 6:30, puck drop at 7. We've got What's Trending coming up next with our guy, Andrew Marsh, here on 101 ESPN.
topics in the sports world.
What in the wide world of sports is going on here?
It's time to find out with
What's Trending? Brought to you by Elite Comfort Experts. Heating and cooling with no gimmicks, just guarantees. EliteComfortExperts.com.
Welcome back to the Fast Lane here on 101 ESPN with Jamie Rivers and Carey Davis. I'm Andrew Marsh, and it's time for What's Trending. Gentlemen, Shohei Ohtani will take the mound tonight for the first time in 664 days. This is from Bobby Boogie, as Jamie likes to call him. Bob Nightingale. Just how excited are Dodgers fans to see Shohei Ohtani make his Dodgers debut tonight on the mound? Ticket prices have spiked by 174% since the announcement that Ohtani will be opener and pitch 1 or 2 innings per tick pick. The get-in price is around $140.
Pick.
Oh,
Tick pick.
okay.
There's a ticketing website.
That's what I thought. Sure.
The get-in price is $140 compared to $51 on Friday.
Well, okay, so let's unpack that just for a second. One, super exciting for Shohei Ohtani and Dodgers fans.
Yes.
I mean, this is what they've been waiting for. When they signed the two-headed monster, it was for the top of the rotation arm and obviously the big bat off the bench as the DH. So it's going to be fun.
It's going to be great to watch.
I hate the Dodgers in some respects. I don't hate them because of what they're doing. I'm just jealous. Okay?
No,
So
see,
maybe
that's mostly what it is, though.
Yeah.
It's not that people hate the Dodgers. They just
we hate what they're
just
able
jealous.
to do. You know what I'm saying?
Everyone's able to do it, right?
No, they're not. They're really not.
Sure.
I mean, I guess you could.
Exactly.
But then you end up like the Padres, where you're having to take a loan out from a local
whatever
institution
it
to cover
takes.
your payroll.
Whatever it takes.
Hey, man,
You win a World Series, you make that back.
You're calling Steve Cohen. Hey, Steve, at the governor's meetings, we had a pretty good time. You're a pretty funny guy. You had some beers, I was just wondering if I could maybe borrow $50 million for a month.
I'm good for it.
I'm good for it.
I'm good for it.
You've seen our team. We're going to make the playoffs.
We're good. You trust me?
Yeah. But no, it's fun for Dodgers fans. I think it's fun for baseball fans overall. Like, who's not going to tune in to see his first couple of innings since having his surgery?
And hopefully, I know LA fans generally show up late. They're a late arriving crowd due to all of the traffic in LA. Hopefully they show up early enough, because if you don't, you're going to miss it anyways, and you just paid all that money for a ticket. But yeah, good for him. Good for him, because he is one of the best players to ever put on a baseball uniform, both in the hitting world and in the pitching world. To be able to see him back on the mound is going to be good for baseball.
Guys, the NHL put out, I guess it wasn't the NHL, but it was more so the Olympic teams. The first 6 players for a lot of these countries have been released. We'll start with Jamie's native country in Canada before we get to Jamie's favorite country in the United States.
My home country.
Your home country.
Yeah.
Canada has Sidney Crosby, Connor McDavid, of course, Cale Makar, Nathan McKinnon, Braden Point, and Sam Reinhart. Those are the first 6 preliminary players for the Canadian roster.
That's just disgusting. The embarrassment of riches right there, too. Like, those are just the first 6. You're not even talking about the rest of the team yet. I mean, that's pretty awesome.
The United States, Austin Matthews, Jack Eichel, Matthew Tkachuk, Brady Tkachuk, Quinn Hughes, and Charlie McAvoy.
Another embarrassment of riches.
You like that?
I do. What I'm upset about, and I get it, I'm not going to dive into the waters of politics and stuff, because, God, you just get hurt at that point. You leave yourself open to take a beating. But, like, the Olympics, it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. But it's just not going to be the same without Russia. It's just not. Like, the Russian team could be every bit as good, if not better, than what the Canadians and American teams have to offer. When you start with their goalies, Vasilevsky and Bobrovsky,
Yeah.
there's your goalies. And then work your way up from there.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable the team they could have.
I think the most disappointing thing about that is not seeing Alexander Ovechkin.
His last.
Yeah.
What
I
would
would
be
believe
his
his
last
last Olympics.
opportunity.
Right.
He's gonna
It
play.
could be
He's
Evgeny
gonna play.
Malkin's last Olympics.
Right.
too.
There's some news on that front, too. It looks like the Penguins won't bring him back once his contract is up.
Once he's done, it looks like his tenure as a Penguin will be done. We'll
Yes.
see what decision he makes from there. I think he goes back to the KHL and closes out his career in the KHL, like Ilya Kovalchuk
Mm-hmm.
did. But no, it's just, I think this is going to be a lot of fun watching. It's going to be the Four Nations on steroids, basically, is what it's going to be. The rules are a little different, so I don't think you'll see any fighting.
No,
No, you get suspended for the next game. You get thrown out of that game and suspended for the next.
they don't watch hockey.
It's something to do with the IIHF rules. I know when I played in Switzerland, it was governed by a similar thing. And I remember the first couple of games, I grabbed somebody and beat the hell out of them because I thought I'm going to send a message to this league, right? Like,
They sent
stay
the
the hell
message
away
to
from
you?
me. And it did. And trust me. But I got thrown out of that game in the first period and missed the next game. And the manager, the general manager, comes up and he's like, "Hey, man, we're paying you pretty good money to play hockey. Like, I understand, but you're here to play."
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, okay, I got it." But I did get a lot more room that rest of that year.
Ah, there you go.
We'll probably see different rosters, too, based on the Olympic sheet. Clayton Keller.
Are they going Olympic sheet, though? Because I heard in Italy they might
they
be going
not?
North American sheet.
I don't like that.
I mean, I personally don't give a sheet, but I'd like to see what
Right.
they're going to do.
I like the Olympic sheet. I think it opens the game up more, and you can see the speed, and I think it's fun. Last bit of news here coming out of the Olympics. How about Alex Texier representing France?
Yeah, that's heavy roster in France, I'll tell you. Congrats to Alex Texier. I mean, I shouldn't say it's not his fault that he comes from a country that doesn't produce a whole lot of players, but it's a kudos to him that. So let's spin that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
More of a kudos to Texier to be playing in the NHL.
Yes.
At the level because he comes from a country that doesn't produce a whole lot of
Yeah.
NHL caliber talent.
Tip of the cap to him
Yeah.
for working through it, even though it's not
Yeah.
obviously it's not as prevalent as it is in other countries.
No.
There's one team on here that I looked at their first 6 players. I'm like, this could be a dark horse in the Olympics. Would you like to guess who I'm thinking of?
Finland?
Not Finland,
Oh, Sweden.
Germany.
Oh, no. After that first six players, it's going to be
That's fair.
It's going to be a massive
However-
drop off, buddy.
Germany did do pretty well a couple Olympics ago.
Yeah, that's
Granted, the NHLers weren't there, but
yeah. Oh, man. Well, it's going to be interesting to watch that. It's going to be fun to pay attention, see who they add to the rosters as time gets closer to the Olympics. That's what's trending here in the fast lane. We talked about this guy in the open, and we gave him kudos, and we talked about how much we love this guy. But does Willson Contreras deserve more as a Cardinal? We'll get into that next here, right here in the fast lane.
one of them players who like to talk from far away, but then when he got in my face, didn't say shit, so.
That was our guy Willson Contreras right there talking about Reese Hoskins, I believe. That was fun. That was a great quote. Marshy, I know you have the whole thing, so why don't you read that to us, because I was thoroughly entertained.
Yeah, one of their players likes to talk from far away, but when he got in my face, he didn't say blank. I was looking for more than that. He seems to be tough, but he's a blanking blank. I'm not going to name names, but he knows who he is.
Yeah, we name names in the fast lane.
Yeah, it was Reese Hoskins for sure. I mean, he was standing up there, chirping. He's top of the dugout, and I always laugh at that stuff. I mean, if you really got a problem, don't you come out of the dugout at that point?
I was talking to somebody about this the other day. Like, I'm not really a big talker. Like, when I want to get, I don't. Normally, people talk when they want people to intervene. Like, when you want somebody to break it up.
Yeah. You're looking for your buddy to grab you. Or the referee. I call those guys referee tough guys.
Yeah.
They got a little wee bark, and then when the referee gets in there, now they're barking like a pit bull.
Because no one can get to them, and they can't get to you.
I tell you a funny story. I think I've told these guys this before. Ray Scampy, old school linesman. And there was a player that was yapping the whole time. It actually was Kevin Adams, the GM for the Buffalo Sabres right now. Yapping. Whenever the refs would come in, he'd be like, "Oh, go ahead, I want to fight." I'm like, okay. So then I tell Scampy, Scampy, I'm sick of this guy doing that. He's like, all right. So the next time we would come in, it was in front of the net. And as soon as the referees get in there, he's like, act like he wants to throw the mitts down, get at me. And Scampy looks at the other linesman and goes, let him go. And he stepped out of the way, and Adam's eyes were like saucers. He was like, oh, and I was like, oh, baby, let's go now. So that's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
I feel like the less you chirp, the more frustrating it could be, though, for an opponent.
I worry about the guy who's not talking.
If you don't say anything,
the guy
he
that
might
looks
be
comfortable in the chaos. I'm like,
he might be crazy.
I think he likes this.
Like, I love chirping. I love chirping my friends. We've always said, if we're not chirping each other, then something's wrong within our friendship. But when I play men's league, I rarely say anything. Like, I let all the teammates do that stuff. And if one guy starts barking at me, I won't say anything. I just don't.
Yeah.
Until there's one time where I'll make a slide comment or whatever. I think I remember one time I whacked this dude's stick out of his hand, a clear penalty, and I just laughed because he was up in arms about it because it was right in front of the net. And I just looked at him and I skated away. I'm like, hey, just get stronger on your stick. Yeah. And that was it.
It's just mix in a few wrist curls.
A couple Dan Uglas.
I tell you just a quick story about guys calm in the situation, like you said, Carey. First time I watched Tony Twist fight, as my teammate. Mm-hmm. Most guys, they get amped up a little bit, and the mitts come off, and he threw down the mitts, and he was he was just so calm, so almost disinterested. He was like, come on. Waving the guy in, come on.
You should go the other way.
At that point, I'd be like, I don't know if this is worth it. One, this guy looks so calm. That means he's really good at what he's about to do.
What he does.
And then when he'd grab a guy, that's when the heart rate went up. And then it would get to be
yeah.
I told you guys before, I wrestled with him on the ice. It felt like riding a bull. If you can hang on for 8 seconds, it's a full ride.
Good to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think with Willson, man, he brings a level of intensity that this team desperately needed. They needed that when Yachty left, and he's brought that same type of intensity. Normally, I think that's kind of the mantra or mindset of most catchers. They are the heartbeat of the team. They're the ones that can go talk to the pitchers and calm them down. They're the ones that are really your grit and glue kind of guys, and he has been that. And he has been through, a lot since he became a St. Louis Cardinal. His first year was tumultuous. It was a lot of talk and a lot of, this guy isn't what we think he is. No, he wasn't Yachty. He's not Yachty. He's Willson Contreras, and he's the one player on your roster right now that has a World Series championship. Yeah. He has done everything that this organization is trying to get back to and trying to do, and he's the one that he sent out a text message to the group, hey, we got to stay together. We got to do all of these things. And he's the one that I think when you're in the foxhole, you want that guy right next to you because he's not going to back down from anything or anyone. And I love watching him play. I love that he's healthy this year and not dealing with the injuries. You talked about it earlier. He gets hit by a pitch and just, here you go. Here's your ball back. Don't worry about it. It's fine. What the hell is wrong with him? He's not mad? No,
he's fine.
Let me drop it in your glove for you and go about my day.
So when I think of Willson Contreras, full disclosure, I fell in love with this guy before he was a Cardinal. I really did. And it not because he was a Cub and all that stuff. I just liked watching him play. Like for me, when I watch my favorite teams play, whatever sport it is, I like to see fire, emotion, passion. I like those things.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with like the Paul Goldschmidts of the world who just silently go on and do amazing things throughout their career. I have a ton of respect for those guys too. But for me, for my personality, I like guys like Willson Contreras. And let's go back to his first year with the Cardinals. Signs a nice, big, healthy deal, probably more than anybody else is going to give him at the time, but that's a whole separate conversation that I don't even care about anymore at this point. He comes in, he's supposed to be the catcher. He gets sewered right out of the gate. Mind you,
what do you mean, Jay?
He's been playing catcher for 10 years in the majors already. But he gets to your team, and he's not a good catcher all of a sudden. And again, I'll go back to what you said, Carey. Almost all of that has to do with the fact that he's not Yadier Molina.
Yeah.
Because everybody had recent history with Yachty the year before. He's catching. He's so good defensively. He's such a presence. He's a manager while he's catching, basically, type stuff. So he gets kind of crapped on for that. And then they talk about moving him to be DH primarily, then catching secondarily. Then he's going to play in the outfield. Then I think he had a talk with somebody about that. And Mo says, no, he's not going to play in the outfield. Then last year, he gets his arm broken. He battles through all that, comes back. This year, he's going to be a first baseman, doesn't complain at all, and then goes on to show people that he's actually a really good first baseman.
Yeah.
So now, all of a sudden, that contract, we thought, well, that's a lot to pay for a catcher. That's a lot to pay for a DH. It's not a lot to pay for a first baseman.
Not bad, huh?
When you look at like the Pete Alonsos, the Paul Goldschmidts of the world, all of a sudden, Willson Contreras, his contract doesn't look that bad anymore. So I tip the cap to him.
I think he's the perfect Cardinal for where they're at right now. Could you imagine if his fiery attitude, the fun that he brings, wasn't on the roster? This team would be just that much more boring, right? Even though like they lost 3 of 4 this weekend, I'm still like, yeah, man, Willson Contreras. Like, I feel like if I was at a bar that could have, he'd have my back.
Yeah.
Right? He gives me that type of vibe. Unfortunately, I don't know if this team's ever going to do anything with him on the roster.
Well, it's because they don't have enough like-minded players.
Yeah,
Let's just look at championship teams overall. Let's just take right now the Florida Panthers. They have a ton of like-minded players, and they've played the same way for 3 years. Mm-hmm. But before that, they had a President's Trophy winning team. They got eliminated in the first round because they didn't have a whole lot of like-minded players at that point. So for the Cardinals now, moving forward, ultimately, they've got to try and find like-minded players, and they don't all have to be Willson Contreras.
Right.
But like Brendan Donovan has a certain energy and passion to him. Mason Wynn has it. Like, you go through the lineup, they've got a lot of the pieces there. For me, though, they just don't have that superstar anymore. Like, Nolan Arenado's not a superstar.
Right.
I think you need one of those guys on your pitching staff.
I agree.
You got to have one of those guys.
Absolutely,
You had that in Chris Carpenter.
Chris Carpenter comes to
You
mind.
did, and you even had a little bit of it in Jack Flaherty.
Yeah,
as much as some people like to crap on him.
I remember a couple of years ago he did the Joker mask, like a social media post, like he was the Joker. Like you have to have one of those guys in your lineup and on your pitching staff. I think that has to. It just helps because now you got guys on both sides being able to work with their group and have that mentality, and then people tend to follow behind those guys because they know if anybody's going to run into the burning building first, it's going to be that guy. And guess what? Because he went in, I'm going to go in behind him. I trust him. I believe that he's got our back, and we're going to take care of our business. But he's the one that is the catalyst for everything.
Yeah, and I've heard, too, from inside the clubhouse, player will remain nameless. I had a chance to talk to him about Willson Contreras not too long ago, and he said he's just a ball of energy. Like, in a good way. He says things to get the guys motivated. and hold guys accountable, but it's not like what you think, like old school, like standing up, getting in your face.
Yeah.
It's more of a like, let's go, baby. Come on, you're better than that. We got more than that. You know, like it's a very good energy. And I think you're seeing a lot of that coming out of the rest of the team too.
I do think when this team finally gets back to being the Cardinals that we know, I think we'll look back and pinpoint Willson Contreras as one of the big time guys that ended up creating this new wave of culture in the Cardinals clubhouse. Whether he'll be on the team or not, I don't know. I don't know what the future holds for this ball club. But I think when we, as a fan base, in the next 5 to 10 years, look back, we can see that Willson Contreras was a huge factor in that.
Yeah, and if we're talking about like selling and doing things at the deadline, I know that sell is going to become popular. But if I'm the Cardinals, I think I'm hanging on to Willson Contreras.
Yeah, I'm not going to.
I think I'm keeping him because at some point when you're developing your culture, you have to have pillars. And I feel like him, Donovan, those guys are like pillars of what you want here in this organization. And I think he'd be good to keep around. And he produces at a good clip. He's playing good first base. That contract is not terrifying now that he's a first baseman.
Yep.
So we'll see. But Willson Contreras, in my books, is one heck of a Cardinal already in this short span of time that he's been with the team. All right, gentlemen, do we believe the Blues have more similarities to the Panthers than we think? Ooh, Carey's got a great answer for this one. We'll hear that next here on 101 ESPN.
Hey, it's Carey Davis for Genesis of St. Charles, and if you are in need of a vehicle, you got to get to a new car. Well, look no further than Genesis of St. Charles. They are Missouri's first and only standalone Genesis dealership. Stop in today for exclusive in-store offers. They have a large selection of new Genesis models in stock that are ready for you to take home today. You can experience the luxury service at their brand new facility located at 5601 Veterans Memorial Parkway in St. Peters, right off of Mid Rivers Mall Drive and Highway 70. Let Genesis of St. Charles introduce you to the sweet life of benefits that are to exceed your expectations. If you haven't visited their deluxe lounge, it's awesome. You can see your car being worked on as you sit there and drink some of the best coffee that St. Louis has to offer. If you don't see the model or the color you want, they can find it for you and help you build your dreams at Genesis. And if you're busy, you got a busy schedule, you don't want to step foot into the facility, you don't have to. You can do everything online. You never have to go there. You can buy your new Genesis entirely online with clear upfront pricing, including your trade-in, and even have it delivered up to 100 miles from the dealership. Visit them today at genesisofstcharles.com. Again, that's genesisofstcharles.com.
to the Fast Lane. Jamie Rivers here, Andrew Marsh, Carey Davis, and we talk about the Blues season, and we talk in particular about their big run at the end of the season, and also the playoff series against the Winnipeg Jets, where they nearly pulled off what seemed to be the impossible against the best team in the NHL. And the one thing that we've talked about is the playoff style that they had, the grit, the blocking shots, the hitting, the in-your-face, the physicality, all of those things, the goaltending and the tight checking. We talk about all of that, and we said that's pretty close to what the Panthers do. I mean, if you squint, you can see a team that's headed in that direction. Now, you're missing a few superstar players, but
I was about to say, if you squint hard enough, do you see Matthew Tkachuk?
I wish. God, I wish.
When I saw the question, I was like,
I know, I wish.
I needed a pair of your glasses. I was trying to see if I could squint hard enough.
That would be nice.
Yeah, okay. That was the only thing that concerned me with the Blues almost.
But you never know.
Okay.
You never know.
Yeah.
You never know, okay?
Okay.
He did wear a blue note before.
He did. He did.
As a child.
AAA Blues.
Yes.
Okay.
Still, nonetheless, he knows what it feels like to wear the blue note. And he did like his time wearing that particular.
We're almost there then.
I hope so. Anyways, our guy Marshy put this on the dock today because he saw some things from the coaching staff and players in Florida that he found some similarities that are under the radar. Marshy?
Yes, so this article that I read today was about Paul Maurice, and when he came in, we mentioned it earlier, Florida, it's not like they were a terrible team, and then all of a sudden they became Stanley Cup contenders. They won the President's Trophy. You know, they had a couple good head coaches before Paul Maurice stepped in. Mm-hmm. He takes them to the Cup. They lose. They go back the next year. They win, and now they're one game away from winning again. But one thing that he said that reminded me a lot of maybe someone in the Blues organization is Jim Montgomery, and this is what Paul Maurice had to say. If you walk into the room and you just tell the truth, whether they want to hear it or not, but it's the truth, and over time you could look back and say what that person told me was the truth, you'll have respect for that, I think. So I work hard at trying to find the truth every day and then just telling it as simply as I can with the occasional joke slipped in. Most times I'm the only one that thinks it's funny. So he says that. Carter Verhaeghe also says, talking about Paul Maurice, he's one of a kind. We see his sense of humor with the media, and he kind of has the same sense of humor with us. He keeps everything light, but makes you want to work, and for the right reasons, for each other. At any given time, he knows what the group needs. It keeps us loose and focused at the same time. I read that quote, I immediately think of Jim Montgomery. We've had him on the show multiple times. We know what kind of humor he has. We've seen it in the media scrums and the way that he presents himself to the team. So not only do I think the Blues are building towards playing that Panthers style when it comes to playoff hockey, they're in the infancy of it, I believe, but I think that they have the right head coach, too, that is doing the same things that Paul Maurice is doing right now.
Yeah, it's wild, right, Carey? Because we laughed in the office when we started talking about this, because I know when I came into the league, and I'm sure same for you, like the head coach was the biggest jerk. He just was. It just hardcore, never told you anything positive, only highlighted the negatives, and then would go for me like 4 or 5, 6 days without even talking to me or looking at me, making me feel like I'm the world's worst hockey player ever, and maybe just a terrible human being at the same time.
Yep.
But it's changed now. It's changed. The coaches that are having the greatest amount of success are what we have craved our entire career when we played, was being honest.
Yep.
They're not lying to players anymore.
I think that we talk about that all the time, just the honesty that you can have as a coach, how far that goes with the team, how far that goes in a locker room or in a clubhouse. When people can trust your words, and it's not coddling. It's not, oh, you did great today, but you stunk. No, hey, man, you were flat out terrible today. We need you better. And
it's the delivery.
Right. It's having honest and open conversations, and like, oh, did you lose something on the way in today? Was your focus not here? Like, what happened with you this morning? No, I'm good. good. We'll play better. Let's go. Like, I need that from you.
If that's good, it's not good enough.
It ain't good enough. But it's the thing that makes you laugh. It's like, okay, I can be a human. I'm not a robot, and they don't expect you to be robots. And when you have good coaching, they understand that they're coaching humans. They understand that every day is not always going to be the best day of their lives. Every day on the ice, on the court, on the field is not going to be the best day. They're not always going to have the greatest performances. But how do we get to that point? How do we get to the standard where we don't dip below that? And if we do dip, it's not that far of a dip. We can get right back to it and exceed those expectations. And I think good coaching brings that out of players. A player is going to – I know when I feel like my coach has my best interest, I'll run through the wall for that guy. I don't want to let him down. And it becomes, at times, the most important thing for me, and I don't know if you feel this way, I'm sure you do, what my peers think about me mattered more than what the coaches thought about me. I wanted them to know that I was going to work hard. But when I had a coach that I trusted, I did not want to let him down. Because he expects this from me, and now I got to go out there and prove to him why he has me on this roster, why he has me on this team, why I'm the right person to start and be in this position as opposed to somebody else. And that's what good coaching allows you to do.
Yeah, and I watched Monty operate this season as a head coach. First chance I've gotten to see it, right in front of me, and it's very masterful. Like, he's such a great energy, fun guy to be around, positive, talks to all the players, and it's like really talking. It's not that coach talk where you come over and kind of sort of talk.
It's kind of weird.
Kind of awkward. Yeah, no.
not a real conversation. Like, what the hell is
It's like, what's he doing? Like,
hey, what's up, man?
Yeah.
No,
or like
right.
other coaches I had, like, hey, how's the family doing? And as soon as you start to answer, they find somebody bigger to talk to. And like, hey, how you doing? Okay, all right. No, but Monty makes a point to have, the touches. You walk around and he's talking to different people, the equipment guys, the skates guy, whatever's going on. But then when he has something serious to say, he says it.
Right.
It's just very, like, to the point. Like, no, can't do that. That is not what we're doing here. This is not how we play the game. And the guy's like, okay, fine, because they understand.
It's not any pushback.
It's not constantly being kicked in the nuts either. Like, that's the part that hurts for players, figuratively and literally. But is when you're constantly just dogged on all the time. Like Ken Hitchcock, that's the one complaint that his players always had, is like, he never takes a day off of just grinding the gears. Like, it's just like, dude, lay off me for a day. You know? So, and I know there's another quote, too, from Carter Verhaeghe, who we've watched his game skyrocket under Paul Maurice. And he had a great quote about Paul Maurice as well.
Yeah. So that's the one that I said earlier, actually, about him having the sense of humor. He keeps everything light, and they're working for each other, for the right reasons. And Paul Maurice just knows what the group needs at the right time, whether that is a joke or if it's a little bit of, a stern talking to or whatever. I think, and I believe he said this multiple times. I think it even went back to his first year where Paul Maurice was saying, at one point, I didn't even need to coach these guys anymore.
No,
the players coach themselves.
They're running the bench themselves.
I felt like the Blues had that late in the season where, Jim Montgomery came in. It took a little bit, but once everybody bought in, then... And I think it probably happened after the trade deadline, to be honest. Once everyone knew that Braden Shin wasn't going anywhere, everyone, it seemed like they almost coached themselves in a sense. They were saying the right things even after a loss. They knew what they had to do because they were saying things that Montgomery was saying after the fact. They're all saying the same things, and that's when you know that a team is really locked in, is when the coach and the players are saying the exact same things in a post game.
I was going to ask you about this Panthers team. They win another one back-to-back. They've been to 3 in a row. Are they a dynasty?
Gosh.
Do you consider them?
In today's NHL, absolutely. They have to be.
2 out of 3.
2 out of 3, and they're going to.
I was going to ask you, does it need to be another one in the next couple of years?
No, because if you look at the Tampa Bay Lightning, they kind of did the same thing. I'd consider that a dynasty.
Okay.
The Blackhawks was over a course of 8 years. They won 3 cups. So over the course of 8 years, that's a dynasty. But if you're winning 2 cups and going to a 3rd Stanley Cup final in 3 years in a row, like, you have to consider that a dynasty in a salary cap world. That's very difficult.
So what if they lose, though? They only win 1 out of 3. Would you consider that to be disappointing?
Well, let's fast forward to next year. because I predict the Panthers will be back in a similar spot next year.
Oh, I mean, Eastern Conference Final probably bare minimum.
So if that's the case, if they're continuously relevant in a real way in the playoffs, that's still the dynasty. It's still winning football. Like even when the Patriots didn't go to a Super Bowl, they were playing winning football.
I think I just wondered if it needed to be 3 championships or is 3 Stanley Cup final appearances in a row enough to be considered a dynasty.
I'm going to say that they're already a dynasty.
Win or lose, or do you have to
and
win?
So
I think they have
I'm
to win.
hedging it on my future bet, right?
Oh, yeah,
so
you got them
because
winning.
I think that next year they're going to be relevant again.
Got you.
And as long as they stay relevant to where people have them in a spot where, like, well, they could make it back to the Stanley Cup again or in the Eastern Conference Final. That, to me, is a team that's dominant for this era right now.
What are the odds that they become the Lightning, where they went to 3 cups, played a lot of hockey? Because that is also a factor. They're playing a ton of hockey, and then they kind of take a step back.
The Lightning, even this year, were relevant.
For sure.
The only reason the Lightning weren't relevant is because they had to play the damn Panthers in the first round.
And Matthew Tkachuk said that the hardest, other than the Stanley Cup Final, the hardest series they played was that first round.
The Lightning, yeah. So I still think the Lightning are in that winning window. I mean, once they start missing the playoffs, that's the end of your dynasty or your era. You know, like they haven't.
You start to reset after that.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we'll see what ultimately what happens with the Panthers. But we've talked ad nauseum about the core players are locked up for the foreseeable future, which means you just have to kind of shuffle around the depth pieces from year to year or every other year.
Yeah.
And if your core players can keep their actual style of game going, then you're probably going to win more than you lose.
Yeah.
Real quick question from the 314. Jamie, how did Montgomery lose the Bruins locker room? Just wondering.
He never did lose the Bruins locker room. You talk to the players. Brad Marchand talked about it. David Pastrnak talked about it. He never lost the room. They just didn't have a good team.
Yeah.
So what happened there is the management in the front office failed the coach. They did. They moved on from too many players. They traded too many guys, did not sign the right players, screwed around with the Swayman contract forever. And Jim Montgomery was stuck with a team that just wasn't nearly as good as the team he had before. So, and I still think they panicked. I think they fired him too soon. I'm glad they did.
Yeah.
But I thought that was too soon for a guy that had the pedigree that he had so far in the NHL. So, to me, that's more of a Bruins thing than a Monty thing. We'll find out ultimately about all of this as these playoffs move on and we move into next season, the off season for the Blues. All right, don't be surprised. NFL takes coming up next. I don't know, Marshy's got something cooked up for us. Sounds like fun, though. Right here, 101 ESPN.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. We just got done talking about the Florida Panthers. They lead the Stanley Cup final 3-2 in the series. The Cup will be in the building tomorrow night. You can listen to Game 6 right here on 101 ESPN. Pregame starts at 6:30. Puck drop is at 7 tonight. We will have Game 5 of the NBA Finals as the Thunder take on the Pacers. That series tied up at 2 games apiece. Pregame starts at 6:30 with the tip-off at 7:30. Your St. Louis Cardinals are off today. They lost 3 of 4 to Milwaukee over the weekend. They'll go up against the White Sox tomorrow at 6:40 with Matthew Liberatore on the mound. I'm Andrew Marsh, and the Sports Center update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
It's the Fast Lane here on 101 ESPN. Our guy Marshy, he's so cute, Carey. He's so cute. I mean, not just physically. We know that all the time. You can see that on the YouTube channel anytime you want, by the way. He's cute because he comes in after an extended weekend. He gets all fired up. He's got certain things he wants to throw at us. Yes. And he puts this on the thing. He says, don't be surprised NFL takes. One, I have no idea what it is.
No.
But he's excited about it, which means I'm excited about it.
Let's do it.
Marshy, let's go.
All right. Don't be surprised if these things happen in 2025. Eric Carabell on ESPN.com. And this is actually a fantasy football-led article, but there's some things in here that I found to be interesting. And we'll start off with Caleb Williams of the Chicago Bears. Don't be surprised if Caleb Williams becomes the first Bears quarterback to pass for 4,000 yards. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I would say I wouldn't be surprised with that. Because of the offense that he has now, because of the offensive coordinator / head coach in Ben Johnson that he has now.
Who's playing offensive line?
They got 3 linemen in free agency. They got Drew Dahlman. They got Joe Tooney from the Chiefs.
Yeah.
They added
some
depth.
Up a little bit.
Added some depth to the offensive line. So I would say, I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. You got weapons like Luther Burden, who you drafted out of Mizzou. He drafted him in the 2nd round. You still got Rome Odunze and DJ. So you got guys that can get the ball and make some things happen. So I would say, I wouldn't be surprised.
So this next one, then again, if we like Caleb Williams, then we really like Drake May. Don't be surprised if Drake May outscores Caleb Williams.
Well, I got to ask you who he's throwing the ball to.
Oh, wow.
Carey. I mean, I know that's your first team. Is that the first?
Yeah.
Okay. Because it's hard to keep up.
He's got,
I don't know if you rank him.
He's got Diggs. You remember, you were all last year.
Diggs, yeah.
Last year, you said the Buffalo Bills are only good with Diggs. And they got rid of Diggs and were really good.
I learned that I was incorrect. And when I get new information, I am willing to say I was incorrect.
We saw already this. Stephon Diggs is in midseason form already.
Not that way.
No,
that's off the field. Maybe.
I don't know. I kind of enjoyed his off-season training program.
It's more off-season, not mid-season.
Offshore training.
He's definitely offshore training.
So Drake May, by the way, I find it intriguing that so many people think so highly of this player. And I wonder if this is another situation, Carey, where it's a really good young player, but the team around him is not going to be good enough early enough to help him out.
I still think they need the more depth at the wide, like a more explosive player. I don't know what Stephon Diggs is. He's coming off of a ACL tear from last year, missed I think half of the season, toward midway through the year. You got Mac Hollins on the roster. Like, you don't have guys that really strike fear in opposing cornerbacks or opposing defenses. So I don't know that Drake May is going to be able to leapfrog and really have that big outstanding year, because you got to have weapons. You got to have guys that you throw the ball to that can make plays when everything is up against you.
So I'm fascinated about what this team does quarterback-wise. Daniel Jones starts more Colts games than Anthony Richardson.
I wouldn't be surprised with that.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised with that.
Yeah.
I think Anthony Richardson is still dealing with some shoulder issues. He's been often injured and then got benched last year because he asked to come out of a game. Hopefully the maturity part of his game has grown in this offseason and what last year was. But I just, the injury history for me and the way that he plays, it's hard to tame that, to get a guy to not be as physical and not go after DBs and try to impose your will on them if that's who you are. But it's different than the NFL is different than college. Like, you can't bully everybody, especially when you're a quarterback and you got guys that are just as big as you, just as fast as you, and they're trying to harm you when they get the opportunity. I would not be surprised if Daniel Jones is playing a lot next year.
Do we think that Daniel Jones was the problem, or was the Giants the problem?
That's a very good question.
Because I feel like we're going to find out.
We're all on board for the New York Giants.
Get caught up in the hard knocks.
That was hard. That was a tough one for me.
Yeah,
I don't like to be wrong, and I was very wrong.
Very wrong there.
Marsh and I were like, yeah, they're going to be.
Oh, yeah.
It was the music.
You were
that
all
they
in on the Giants,
right,
man.
Marshy? It's
You
the
were
music
all in on
and
the Giants,
the
man.
score. Like, yeah, it just sounded good.
Yeah.
I believe.
Oh, God.
Or whatever.
I remember you. I was like, what is Carey talking about?
I think he has better weapons now. Malik Neighbors is pretty good, but you got Tyler Warren, you got Michael Pittman Jr., you got some Joshua Downs when he's healthy is a really good receiver, and you got Jonathan Taylor at the running back spot. Daniel Jones, if he's playing a lot, which he might be, he might actually have a better season than he did last year.
Yeah, I'm anxious to find out. Different
Shame on me.
situation.
Shame on you too, Marshy.
He blames you for everything.
That's fine. I actually think that I was the one that was like, Carey, you should watch this show. I think you'd like it. You're like, I don't watch Hard Knocks. I don't like watching that stuff.
It's the
I lived
off-season.
it. I go, it's the off season. I think you'll like it. Then you came to the same conclusion I did, which was wrong. Speaking of running backs, you mentioned Jonathan Taylor. Carey, this one might make you fall out of your seat. Of the 8 prior running backs to rush for 2,000 yards, Chris Johnson is the only one to finish among the top 5 PPR running backs the next season. Once again, this is a fantasy football article. None reached 1,500 yards rushing. Several missed multiple games. Don't be surprised if Saquon Barkley falls outside the top 5 running back scorers.
Ooh, wow. That's spicy.
Well, this is just fantasy because the touchdowns we know get taken away because of Jalen Hurts and the tush push.
For sure. But the yardage, though, that I read is obviously that goes beyond fantasy.
I think Saquon is built to have another one of those seasons. Probably not to the extent that he did last year. And he didn't play that last game. He could have had more yards. But I think he's built to have that year again because of their offense. When you have a team that has multiple weapons, he's not the focal point. Teams aren't going to be able to load the box and just play him. You got to worry about A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith on the outside. I think that's wrong. I think Saquon is going to have another good year as long as he's healthy.
All right, let's do one more here.
Go one more. Good.
I mean, we saw the video, guys. Don't be surprised if Deebo Samuel is a bust in Washington.
So, Carey, I'd ask you something here. Deebo Samuel, I remember a couple of years ago looking at him, and they did like the side-by-side of him and like DK Metcalf. And Deebo was like jacked, playing 2 or 3 different positions at any point of the game. Deebo looks like he may have changed his off-season training regimen. He doesn't look quite as good.
He looks a little thicker.
A little fluffy, we'll call it.
I don't know what he's weighing right now, but it's time. It's June. If he is 10, 15 pounds overweight and they want him to have that explosive ability or capability, he'll get that weight off of him before the season starts. But I'm not worried. Like, guys that are vets and know how to take care of their body and know what it takes to prepare for the season, I don't really worry about those guys. I think Deebo is going to be fine. They get Terry McLaurin and get his situation taken care of. The Commanders are going to be a team that you have to worry about as well in that NFC East.
Do you guys have any bold takes? Don't be surprised if this thing happens next season.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know if it's bold. I think the Eagles are going to repeat as NFC champions and be playing in the Super Bowl again. Like, I think that they are, the way that they draft, the team that they have, the athletes and the skill that they have, and they are dominant up front as well. Eagles back to the Super Bowl again would be my bold take.
Baby. I like it.
Yeah. And the other one is Shedeur Sanders is starting by week 5.
Oh, there it is. By week what?
5.
Okay.
I could see it.
Joe Flacco
Could see it.
Probably be your starter. I don't know why.
All right, boys, we need a contestant in the Gauntlet. That's coming up in 15 minutes, so please text in to the Air Comfort Service text line 314-399-9646. Text in the word Gauntlet, please. We'll get to that in 15 minutes. But next, how much pressure is John Mozeliak under to get things right at the trade deadline? I'd say quite a bit. We're going to talk about that next here on 101 ESPN. We're back here in the fast lane with our guy Stewie from Stewart's American Mortgage Corporation. And Stewie, refinancing is always, a crazy topic. People don't know when they should refinance, if the rates are changing. What have you got for us when it comes to refinancing?
Well, the first thing, Jamie, is it's called the fast lane for a reason. We have fast mortgages. We can close your loan from application to closing in 10 days. ESPN listener called us and said, hey, I got an FHA loan on my house. I'm paying this nasty thing called PMI. He didn't even know the interest rate he's at. He says, is there any way to improve my payment? And I also got a bunch of debt that I got to get rid of. I don't know what to do. My credit's going down the tubes. Can you help me? We got him closed in 10 days. He saved $1,600 a month on his overall cash flow payments. He doesn't have to make a July payment. He's skipping a mortgage payment. Way ahead of the game. And you know, with the bagel loan, how much is it going to cost him, Jamie?
Zero.
Looks like a bagel, easy to remember. When you Google the bagel loan, it tells you how to get a hold of us. We got it done in 10 days for him. He's on his way to a better life. You can be too.
Stu, I love what you do for all of our listeners and for everybody in particular. It really is true. Stewie guides you through the process. It's super easy, not stressful at all. And at the end of the day, you're saving money and you're happier. So please pick up the phone, call Stewie. His personal cell phone number is 314-324-4440. Again, that's 314-324-4440. And if you can't remember that, it's pretty easy. You heard Stewie talk about the bagel loan. You can always Google the bagel loan. Stewie, thanks for everything, brother.
Have a great day.
NMLS number 226715.
Right now, it would make sense to just be expiring contracts because let's remember, this is not the team that John Mozeliak will have any say over come October. It's Chaim Bloom's team, and Mo is going to be operating the trade deadline. These are his decisions. Bloom is available for consultation if needed, but the trade deadline and the major league talent, that is a John Mozeliak decision. So, in my opinion, it doesn't make a lot of sense for Mo to come in and really take away from anything more than what they know they're going to be losing at the end of the year. Now, if they decide to have a change of heart and all of a sudden Chaim is more available in those discussions, then maybe. But right now, it looks like we're going to see something similar if they do sell to what we saw in 2023, where it's offloading talent, doing some minor incremental improvements, and then when Chaim Bloom takes over at the offseason, then maybe we'll see some significant change.
All right, that was Katie Wu on BK and Ferrario talking about John Mozeliak and the trade deadline. Guys, before we get into like the specifics as far as what we think the Cardinals should do at the trade deadline, Katie Wu said something in there that has me confused. And she said that John Mozeliak will be operating. This will be his deadline, and Chaim Bloom will be there, if needed. I think that drives me crazy. I think it's because...
Do tell.
Because if there's a succession plan, just like in any business, if you're a CEO and you're on your way out by choice, or even maybe not by choice, your contract's up, whatever, usually you're required to spend the last 6 months or a year of your tenure there making sure the next person that takes your job is equipped to do what you're supposed to do. And in the sports world, where you have to, like the trade deadline is your first off-season move for next year. Unless you're a contender. If you're a contender, that's your window, right? Like, we're going to get a guy, we're going for it. If you're not a contender, it's your first opportunity as a club to start your off-season projects to what next year will look like, or the year after, depending on what prospects you get and things like that. You're building from there. Why would you not have the guy who's taking over run point on this and have John Mozeliak as the consultant? Like, why would you not? Like, what if Mo does something and doesn't care what Chaim Bloom says? Right? Because he can. He's still the boss. But what if he does something and Chaim Bloom has no say? Now, Chaim Bloom has to deal with the results of this or the aftermath. I don't know. I just think it's weird. And I don't know this to be true. We're taking Katie Wu's word on this. She's very well versed on what's going on with the Cardinals. I just think that's weird.
I would think that Chaim Bloom has some say. Like, I don't think Mo would be able to or would be willing to, kind of sabotage the future of the St. Louis Cardinals for any...
Not that he's going to sabotage, but what if he just makes a move that's just not great, that he thinks is good?
I would hope that they have some form of an agreement or understanding that, hey, these are guys that we deem untouchable unless you can get this in return. And I'm sure that that's a DeWitt, a Mozeliak, a Chaim Bloom conversation where they're all in on it together, where they're having some understanding or some level of understanding of who we're not willing to move, who we are willing to move for the right price, and who are we willing to move come hell or high water just based off of, what our needs are and what will be an expiring contract come next season. So I would think it's weird, though, if you're just saying, hey, Mo, you got this last 6 months. You do whatever the hell you want to do, man, and then I'll take over. I'll fix it or won't, whatever, man. It's cool. You do you, brother. I think that would be strange. Yeah. And I hope that that's not the way that they're running the
maybe
business.
It isn't. Maybe it's just my take on it.
Yeah. I don't think that – I think Mo and Chaim have some type of understanding or agreement in terms of,
at this point,
what the roster would look like for 2026.
So with that thought process in mind, do you guys think that this is John Mozeliak's biggest trade deadline in his tenure? Or am I just thinking that way because it's his last year?
The trade deadline for the 2011 World Series is pretty big.
For sure. In terms of the future of this organization, though, out of the last 5 years, I would have to think that this upcoming trade deadline is the biggest.
In the last 5 years?
Last 5 years.
What if they have a difference of opinion? And I don't mean on a player in particular, but like
a philosophical difference.
Yeah, like, so what if Mo looks at this team? That's funny. That's well played. What if Mo looks at this team in 6 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever the heck it is, and they're only 2 games back? And what if Mo, for his legacy, is wanting a playoff team in his last year? But Chaim Bloom is like, Mo, we're not there. Like, we're not there. Like,
who wins?
Well, I know Mo will win because he's got the last say.
I think the DeWitts would win.
But the DeWitts would have to step in then at some point
and say, no, this is.
But then they might look at it and go, man, a couple of home games would be nice. Or
I don't think this team's getting a home game in the first round.
You're right. It's not like hockey. My bad. But anyways, these are things that creep into my mind when I think about the trade deadline as to how things. And maybe this is the wrong attitude for me. I feel like the Cardinals are going to find a way to screw it up. And that's probably the worst attitude ever. And I think I'm just kind of scorned here because they haven't made a lot of great decisions from a front office standpoint in the last couple of years.
Oh, I saw an article today, and it had some of the bigger execs that are under the most pressure. And John Mozeliak is not included in this. You have Arizona, Philly, Seattle.
Well, because he's going away.
Texas. I just think that this is a huge year for this organization, and we're having this discussion as if, like, why is the succession plan not starting July 31st?
It should.
Or even before that.
And maybe it will.
Maybe it will.
Maybe my skepticism is completely wrong. You know what I mean?
Maybe they're not telling us everything.
Which is probably the case, but I would imagine, I would hope that Mo and Chaim Bloom are every day that they're meeting. Every day they're going over the farm system. Every day they're going over the roster. Like, at this point, you have to be.
I think the decisions become easier depending on how the Cardinals play. Like, if they keep losing.
I disagree.
No, I think
it gets harder because if they go on a little bit of a run,
I'm saying
not quite enough.
If they continue to lose, in this manner, I think it's an easier
you think
decision.
they should tank? That's what I'm hearing, Carey.
I didn't say tank.
I would actually I'd love to know what our listeners think about that. Send us a mic drop.
Yeah, please do.
Based on this decision, obviously we all want the team to win, but if you're that hell-bent on trying to look towards the future like Carey is, do you want the team to start losing? Because we know how this team operates. If they're like 2 games back, they'll probably be buyers.
I think the problem that they run into, and I think that most fans run into this issue, is it's not about, for me, it's not championships or bust. That's not what that is. It's about having a team that can compete and really put forth. Like, I think the Blues did it the right way. They've done everything. If you wanted a manuscript of how to put your team in a position to have your championship window open, talk to Doug Armstrong. He can get you the book. He can get you the pamphlet. He can write it down for you and show you exactly how your damn team is supposed to do it. I think he did a fantastic job of changing a team that 2 years ago you were trading off pieces that had expiring contracts, and nobody was in such a rush to, they need to win. No, we're the fast lane. I got a plan. Just trust me. Leave me the hell alone so I can do my damn job. And he did it. And I think that the Cardinals, because they're the St. Louis Cardinals, feel a level of pressure that you got to give the fans what they want. Well, what do you want? You want no playoff games at home and out in the first round and watching baseball? I was going to say football because that's what the hell you're going to be watching. You ain't going to be watching baseball. You're going to be watching football.
You say that like it's a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing. But if you're a baseball team and a baseball player, you probably want to be playing baseball and not watching football. Just my opinion. So do you want to have a team that is in a position to open that championship window and get rid of some of these expiring contracts? Or you like, oh no, we can win with these guys. It's good fun. Let's go. You're not gonna win. Sorry.
All right, so
not a championship.
Marcia, you brought it up. Let's open up the mic drops. Scott Lee Heating Company mic drops. Leave it on the 101 ESPN mobile app, and we'll revisit that later. The question is, what direction do you think the Cardinals should go in come the trade deadline? All right, we've got a new Gauntlet contestant. Gauntlet next.
Warriors. 4 categories, 1 challenger. Can you survive the Gauntlet?
Brought to you by Blue Note Roofing. Roofing, siding, and gutters. Visit BlueNoteRoofingSTL.com for a free inspection.
Well, the time is 4:04 p.m. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers. It's time for the Gauntlet, and we've got Douglas with us today. Douglas, how are you doing, bud?
Doing well. How about you guys?
We're doing pretty good so far. It's a pretty good Monday. No complaints.
Cool.
So, all right, Anthony's not here this week, but you do have your pick of the litter when it comes to Andrew Marsh, Carey Davis, or myself. Who would you like to take on today?
I think I would take Mr. Carey.
Mr. Carey Davis.
Good luck, Douglas.
Thank you.
Carey's happy because he's got himself a little dessert from Fit Flavor, so this is going to give him a chance to get into the cone of silence and just demolish that dessert. He's got a big smile on his face, Douglas. All right. While he walks into the cone of silence, Douglas, I'm going to need you to tell Andrew Marsh to spin that wheel, please.
Andrew, spin the wheel.
All right, so what are we hoping for?
Either, I was like baseball, football.
Okay. Well, you've got it today, buddy. You got football. Now you'll have Carey Davis in football, so this could be a heavyweight tilt. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
All right, well, Marshy's getting us the questions here. Just a recap for anybody who may not know the rules. It's 2 points for every question. If you use the options, it's only 1 point if you get it right. A wrong answer is 0 points. And if you're tied after 4 questions, we will have a tiebreaker, and we will get a winner in the Gauntlet. Douglas, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay, again, category football, question number 1. Where did tight end George Kittle play his college football?
Options, please.
Was it Ohio State, Iowa, or Pitt?
Ohio State. Final answer.
Question number 2. Mizzou lost 3 games last year. Which team handed the Tigers their first loss of the season?
I will say Georgia. Final answer.
All right, we have got question 3. Illinois also suffered 3 losses last year. 2 of them were ranked opponents. Name the only unranked team to beat the Illini last season.
Options, please.
Was it Minnesota, Michigan, or Michigan State?
Minnesota. Final answer.
And question number 4. Ohio State beat Notre Dame last season in the college football championship. Which team did Ohio State beat in the Cotton Bowl to reach the championship game?
Man, I saw that game. Options, please.
Options are Texas, Penn State, or Arizona State.
Penn State. No, Arizona State. Arizona State. Final answer.
All right. We are going to get Carey back here. Hopefully he had time to finish his little cupcake or whatever the heck he had there. A little muffin or something.
Yeah.
Looked pretty good. Pretty tasty.
Yeah.
You have time to finish your little muffin in there, buddy?
Yeah.
Oh, look at him. He's all happy now. Big smile on his face.
I'm good.
Attaboy. All right, Carey. Category today is football.
Hey.
You, my friend, even though you already had your lunch, you better pack a lunch.
Oh, Lord.
You ready to go?
I think so.
Okay.
All right.
Question number 1. Where did tight end George Kittle play his college football?
University of Iowa. Final answer.
Are you sure?
Very.
Okay. Question 2. Marshy.
Yes, Mizzou lost 3 games last year. Which team handed the Tigers their first loss of the season?
I feel like that was Texas A&M. And they got smoked. Texas A&M, final answer.
Question 3. Illinois also suffered 3 losses last year. 2 of them were ranked opponents. Name the only unranked team to beat the Illini last season.
University of Minnesota, final answer.
And question number 4. Ohio State beat Notre Dame last season in the college football championship. Which team did Ohio State beat in the Cotton Bowl to reach the championship game?
Read that again.
Ohio State beat Notre Dame last season in the college football championship. Which team did Ohio State beat in the Cotton Bowl to reach the championship game?
Okay, so they beat Tennessee when they came out with the ugly uniforms that Marshy hated and he wanted them to lose.
Oh, that's
then
right.
they beat Oregon. Tennessee game wasn't the Cotton Bowl, so it got to be Oregon. Oregon, final answer.
Could pay costly. We'll see. Who knows?
Okay, let's go over these. Let's start right there. Ohio State beat Notre Dame last season in the college football championship. Which team did Ohio State beat in the Cotton Bowl to reach the championship game? Douglas took the option, said Arizona State. Carey, without the options, said Oregon. Marshy, answer is?
Ohio State did beat Oregon in the Rose Bowl. They beat Texas in the Cotton Bowl.
I remember. Forgot about that one.
You, my friend, are awarded 0 points for that, Arnie. All right, let's go to question number 1. Where did tight end George Kittle play his college football? With the options, Douglas said Ohio State. Carey, without the options, you said Iowa. Marshy, answer is?
It is Iowa.
Iowa. Carey did not use the options, up 2-0. Let's go to question 3. Illinois also suffered 3 losses last year. 2 of them were to ranked opponents. Name the only unranked team to beat the Illini last season. Douglas, you said Minnesota. Carey Davis also said the University of Minnesota. Marshy, answer is?
It is Minnesota.
But Carey did not need the options. Carey up 4-1 heading into our final question. Question 2. Mizzou lost 3 games last year. Which team handed the Tigers their first loss of the season? Douglas, no options. You said Georgia. Carey, no options. You said Texas A&M. Marshy, answer is?
It is Texas A&M.
Douglas.
You have chosen poorly.
You lose. Not today.
Douglas, Carey got you today. Very college football heavy. Sorry, buddy.
No problem. Thank you.
Good job, Douglas.
Yeah. Douglas, thanks
All
for
right, thanks,
listening.
Carey.
Thanks for playing, brother.
Thank you. Have a great day, guys.
You too.
You too. Take care. Carey, I feel terrible.
I don't.
Douglas seems like a really nice
Yeah,
guy.
he was really nice.
probably
And
was
you
a
took
really
out your
nice guy.
steel-toe boots
Yeah.
and you kicked him in the teeth
I
repeatedly.
didn't mean to do that, but I am bothered that I didn't get the Ohio State question right. That was
that was a real big whiff.
yeah.
Carey won 6-1.
I'm bothered by that one actually.
Well, you should be since you're an Ohio State fan.
I forgot about the Texas.
wow.
See how Marsha does.
He threw a few there today.
The reason why I remember that game is because we all had our panties in a bunch when Texas, down inside the 10-yard line, decided to run backwards. And then there was the I believe it was a fumble that led to the touchdown.
It was the
Jack
biggest
Sawyer.
dumb-ass plays I've seen
How
ever.
about that one?
They're on the goal
Yeah.
line, Carey.
Yeah, I remember. Jack Sawyer had the fumble recovery, which sealed the game.
Yeah,
against them.
terrible.
Come on.
All right. Well, congratulations, Carey. Good job, buddy. Good job disposing of President Nice Guy Douglas.
I'm sorry, Douglas.
Yeah, no, you're not. No, you're not.
Bet you feel that way.
Can the grass actually be greener when you get rid of a superstar? Ooh, sounds spicy. We'll talk about it next here in the Fast Lane. Johnny Londoff Chevrolet. They've got two awesome locations now. The original location right there out in Florissant, Missouri, right off of Highway 270. You can see it there. It's a landmark. It's awesome. But now they got another awesome location out in St. Peter's, right there off Highway 70. The Londoff Autoplex, doing a great job at both places of keeping customers happy in the St. Louis area. They always have fantastic deals, too. Great inventory when it comes to brand new vehicles as well as pre-owned vehicles. And if you're looking to trade in a vehicle, don't forget that Londoff Chevrolet, they will give you the most cash available for your trade-in. Not credits or bonuses or anything like that. No, straight up cash. That's the Londoff guarantee. And then once you pick out your vehicle, the process is awesome. The sales reps are so good at what they do, and they want your experience of buying a car to be a memorable one that you pass on to your family, your friends, your neighbors, whoever it is that you're talking to. Please send them into Londoff Chevrolet. So again, two locations. Walk into either location. Tell them Jamie Rivers sent you in. They love hearing that. But if you can't get there in person, get there online. Visit Londoff.com or LondoffAutoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
Johnny Londoff Chevrolet.
Welcome back to the Fast Lane here at 101 ESPN. Andrew Marsh, Carey Davis, Jamie Rivers here with you. And our guy Marshy, a spicy little topic here.
That's what the kids are saying.
Yeah, the kids are all saying that. So can the grass actually be greener when you get rid of a superstar? Marshy, what's on your mind?
So this is not the first time that the Red Sox have decided to get rid of a superstar. Mookie Betts, Name ring any bells? I'm sure it does for Carey. He's on his favorite team.
Jamie calls him the utility player, the ultimate.
No, you actually did, Carey.
That was you.
No, when you outlined what a utility player was, he fell right into the category. I thought it was a great call by you.
That's ridiculous.
We know what Mookie Betts has done with the Dodgers. We saw Dallas, the Mavericks, trade away Luka. And now the Lakers did really nothing with that in the playoffs, but Dallas ended up being they weren't the worst team in the league, but they ended up landing somehow the first overall pick. But I mean, Anthony Davis played, 5 minutes of that game and then was hurt. Then Kyrie goes down and things just did not go the right way for the Mavs after getting rid of Luka. And they went to the finals last year and lost to the Boston Celtics. The Sabres, I think we remember them trading away Jack Eichel. He ended up winning a cup with Vegas, and the Sabres still haven't done anything.
They haven't made the playoffs.
There's another example of a team that traded away a player. However, this was not because they just wanted to trade him away. It's because he said, hey, I'm not coming back. And maybe that's because he didn't want to play for the Calgary Flames. And that's Matthew Tkachuk. And look what he's doing right now. So, can the grass actually be greener when you do get rid of a superstar? And, what typically leads to teams wanting to get rid of a superstar? And then what leads to the player maybe wanting out or not resigning? Ultimately, whose fault is that? Does it come down to the team?
So is the grass greener for the team that traded away the superstar? Hell no. I don't think any of those teams that you mentioned have won, but I feel like all of the guys that you named have won after they left. Mookie Betts, Boston ain't won, Buffalo ain't won spit ever. And who was the last one?
Matthew Tkachuk. Different situation.
Yeah. How's that worked out? For him, great. Right? Yeah. Okay. So
Luka has not won, by the way.
Luka has not won.
But at least they made the playoffs.
But that's one year. We're still in the midst of all of that. I don't think the grass is greener for any team when you trade away a true superstar. I think it becomes harder. Like, you can have the pack mentality and, we're not gonna depend on one guy. Okay, cool. But if that one guy demands and commands a lot of respect and a lot of eyeballs, you should probably have that guy around. So, yeah, and in terms of how you even get to that point, it's probably poor ownership, not communicating. The things we talked about earlier not only goes for good coaches, but good ownership, good front offices, general managers having honest dialogue with their superstar player. Hey, season didn't end how we wanted, but we're working to get you this player. We're working to get you this type of player. We want to build around you instead of just saying, be better. I need help.
Yeah.
So I think it boils down to ownership, front office, communicating effectively and having those real honest and open conversations with that superstar, and that superstar trusting. It boils down to trust as well. Both parties trusting one another that it's going to get done. And when the trust begins to deteriorate, the superstar is like, it's not going to happen here. Let me move on.
Can we pinpoint any situations where teams got rid of a superstar and did better? Because, I think about basketball, and I think about guys like James Harden. I think about guys like Kevin Durant. I think about guys and I'm not saying that they're bad people. I'm just saying teams moved on from said players and had success following their departure.
It might take a little bit, but I think we're seeing that right now in the NBA Finals.
OKC and Indiana both traded away Paul George at some point and has kind of directly impacted their rosters to the point where they are now in the NBA Finals. But that's 6, 7, 8 years in the making. It's very rare, in my opinion, that you trade away a true superstar and now your team is better because of it. OKC, the Golden State Warriors didn't re-sign Kevin Durant. They had some issues getting back to that point. And it took about 4 or 5 years before they could get, 3 or 4 years before they can get back to the finals and win one.
Helps, though, having
you still got
other
another
superstars on the team.
Yes, exactly. So I think it's difficult trading away that guy and believing that you're going to be a better team because if it's almost like cutting off your nose to spite your face. You don't agree with him? Okay, well, make it work somehow, some way. In the Luka case, I think that they saw something in the terms of this guy is not capable of staying healthy or staying in shape long enough for us to win a championship. And so we're going to move. And again, I don't do the conspiracy theories, but you trade away a superstar and you get a Anthony Davis and potentially Cooper Flagg, another superstar. It's kind of crazy how that works out.
What do you think is
amazing.
worse, trading away your superstar or letting your superstar walk?
Oh, I think walk.
Letting them walk.
Letting him walk where you get. So let's go back to the Matthew Tkachuk situation, because that's a perfect example for that question. And although some people in Calgary were really mad at Matthew Tkachuk, I mean the fans, that is, for stating to the team that he was not going to re-sign with the Calgary Flames. He had one more year left on his contract, and after that he was unrestricted. And he told the Calgary Flames, because they wanted to extend him in the offseason before the last year's contract, he said, I'm not interested. I'm going to be going to free agency. So I would suggest that you start looking for a dance partner as far as like a trade. So although that angered the fan base in Calgary, it did them a solid,
Right.
is what it did. Because now the Calgary Flames had some time to, open up the phone lines, talk to teams, figure out what's going on, talk to other GMs, and ultimately got back a hell of a package for Matthew Tkachuk. You got Jonathan Huberdeau, who had 115 points the year before, and you had Weegar, Mackenzie Weegar, who comes in, and he's a number 1, number 2 defenseman on that team, and they got one more piece in it. I don't think that player was of much relevance, but either way, you got two top-end players for Matthew Tkachuk. Now, they're not the same as Matthew Tkachuk, obviously, but you did pretty well because the player allowed you to do that. So I think it'd be way worse had the Calgary Flames said, no, we're just going to try and wow him with, all these things and put the pressure on, and then Matthew Tkachuk walks and you get nothing. You don't have Huberdeau, you don't have Weegar, you have nothing. That's way worse for me. That is the ultimate sin as a general manager or president of operations, is letting your superstar walk for nothing. Now, unless that superstar is like 37, 38 years old, and you're like, but if it's a player that is in their somewhat prime, and you let them walk, you shouldn't have a job.
We did get one splashback dude said Bryce Harper.
So I was actually thinking about that.
They still had some guys on that roster.
They did, and so I wonder, are the Nationals ever going to get back to what they were in the late 2010s? Because you didn't have Bryce Harper, but you had Juan Soto. And you did actually get something for Juan Soto, which is sort of the nucleus of your team right now. Who knows if that team will ultimately be a contender in the next 5 to 10 years.
But had Anthony Rendon when he still wanted to play.
This is a great one, actually. This is a great one.
Did he actually still want to play at that time?
He was still playing well.
He was playing for a contract.
He played to begin with. How about Wayne Gretzky? When the Edmonton Oilers traded him to the LA Kings, they won the Stanley Cup the very next year.
But who else was on that team?
Well, they had a hell of a team.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Messier,
when you still
Carey, Coffee, they had all the other characters
except for him.
Except for him.
Yeah.
And then somebody brought up, Albert Pujols, by the Cardinals letting him walk. It actually worked out okay because he was not the same player during his tenure away from the Cardinals.
And you won a championship.
And then you got him back for his historic run, so that worked out pretty good.
Well, what about the Blues when the big time players in the 90s ended up kind of moving out? I felt like the Blues were still in a really good spot.
They were. So, like Gretzky here at a cup of coffee, that's all Mike Keenan's fault. Gretzky should have retired a St. Louis Blue. He wanted to retire a St. Louis Blue, so that was an opportunity missed by the organization for sure. But then, letting Brett Hull walk. At first, you're like, what the hell are you doing? He goes on and wins the Stanley Cup like almost immediately with the Dallas Stars. That kind of sucked. But then the Blues, in their defense, went on to be a President's Trophy winning team.
Right.
After that, and were contenders for a number of years. Now, they never really did anything. So one would argue that, well, you really didn't do good without Brett Hull. Imagine if you still had him.
Right.
But, there comes a time in every organization where you have a decision to make. And I'm just a believer in being proactive, where if a player has the ability to walk at the end of the season,
you should move.
Unless we are a legit contender to where I think I'm going to add pieces and keep that player because we could win a championship. And if so, then I don't care who walks after that.
That is the only way, in my opinion, that makes sense.
Yeah.
If you are a championship caliber team, and you are okay with saying, I don't want to lose them for nothing, but damn it, I need them to get through this championship run. And we'll try to, and we win a championship, maybe I can woo this person to stay after that.
Yep.
But if it's not a championship team and that player X is on an expiring contract, there's no way he's going to resign. I don't think you continue to have him on your roster.
Well, that was the situation when Albert was here in 2011. Like, imagine if that team didn't win the World Series, that situation, and there was a lot of people that were upset. At him, some upset at the ownership. Everybody's upset these days. But imagine if they don't win the World Series, that stings even more.
Yeah,
when he ends up leaving.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Well, it's interesting either way, and some of those teams across every league will have those decisions to make coming up come the trade deadline. All right, we've got the Sports Six Pack Part 1 coming up next. Get your questions into the Air Comfort Service text line. That number's 314-399-9646. Sports Six Pack next here on 101 ESPN.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals off today after losing 3 of 4 to the Milwaukee Brewers over the weekend. They'll take on the White Sox tomorrow. First pitch is at 6:40 with Matthew Liberatore on the mound. Tonight, Game 5 of the NBA Finals can be heard right here on 101 ESPN as the Thunder take on the Pacers. That series is all knotted up at 2 games apiece. 6:30 pregame, 7:30 tip-off. And tomorrow night, we'll have Game 6 between the Florida Panthers and the Edmonton Oilers. Florida 1 win away from going back-to-back, winning the Stanley Cup. The Cup will be in the building. Again, you can listen to that right here on 101 ESPN. Pregame starts at 6:30 with the puck drop at 7. We have our Sports Six-Pack coming up next, so get your questions into the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646. Sports Six-Pack is next. I'm Andrew Marsh, and this Sports Center update is driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
It's time for the Fast Lane to answer your sports questions.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions, and I want to have them answered immediately.
Asking me all these weird questions.
Answer the question.
Answer the question.
Answer me!
The Sports Six-Pack is refreshed by the Finnish Long Drink, Finland's best-kept secret. A sparkling citrus beverage made with real liquor. Visit thelongdrink.com. Must be 21 years of age or older. Drink responsibly.
Welcome back to the Fast Lane here at 101 ESPN. Like you just heard, it's time for the Sports Six-Pack. Marshy.
Question number 1.
All right, this one comes from Dave Matthews?
Oh, boy.
I don't know. Dave Matthews here. It was a privilege having Stalter in the audience Saturday night. Don't think I didn't see his eyes well up when we played Crash Into Me. Also, just making sure he's doing okay. I've never seen a grown-ass man crush as many daiquiris as he did backstage while I was introducing him to the other 46 members of my band. But the question is, what would your guys' backstage look like after a concert?
Oh, man.
And I'm afraid to hear Jamie's. Ha-ha.
Well, I've had the privilege of being a part of many backstage nights for some pretty big acts. I can tell you that they all do it a little bit differently, for sure. And their backstages look a lot different as they get older. Let's just say that. But I do remember being backstage for Motley Crue for a couple of shows way back when, and there were some things going on. There were some things. Lots of fun group of guys.
Yeah.
Kid Rock, fun dude backstage. Lots of fun there. Eddie Vedder, more laid back, even in the prime. Like, pretty quiet dude. Pretty even keel. Kiss, very quiet.
Really?
Very quiet. Yeah. Now, they weren't in their prime.
I was going to say, is that with the face paint or
it
without?
Was second tour duty with the face paint.
Okay.
And so they were pretty subdued, pretty relaxed, chill, cool nonetheless. And then, there's other bands too. Seven Dust, I can tell you that the start of their tenure,
good times?
They did it right. They did it right. So, yeah, it's what would mine look like? Usually backstage is a huge decompression chamber for the band because they're out there performing, and we know this, Carey, like not the same level, of course, but we're out there performing in front of people.
Right.
There's always the stress and the tension of being terrible or doing something awful, but then the exhilaration of doing something wonderful.
And hearing people yell and scream.
Yeah, and contrary to like sports, the rock stars or a band or singers, like everybody there is there to see you.
Correct.
They're cheering you on. It's not like home team cheering the home team, booing the bat, like the away team. Everyone in the building is there for you. And so I watch a lot of bands come off stage. They take 10 to 15 minutes to decompress, like nobody allowed in the dressing rooms. Take a quick shower usually because they're sweating their asses off. And then it's like, whoa. And then they start having a few drinks, and then things start to pick up, and before you know it, you're running downhill. So that's my experience.
I also feel like, with sports is a game of mistakes. right? Like, you can get away with mistakes, and fans will notice that. But you have opportunities to make up for yourself because, in baseball, you can fail 7 times and be a Hall of Famer.
Right.
But if you have a certain show, if you're a musician, and it is very apparent that you are messing up, I feel like that sticks with people maybe more so than it would with sports. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, you're right.
I think, like, if you're just talking about, like, on-stage performances, I think comedians probably have it harder.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
if
good
they
call.
bomb, that's a rough, like, and you know if the jokes aren't landing. Like, with music, people are coming because they like your music. And now maybe the version that they hear, when they buy your music doesn't sound, especially some singers, they sound a little different.
Yes, they do.
When they are in studio
Some
versus
look
when
different,
they,
too. Like, Milli Vanilli looked a lot different than...
What happened?
Yeah.
Then the people...
I went and saw them.
Really?
Yeah, I was totally embarrassed by
different. You enjoyed yourself?
I actually had a great time. I didn't care. The music was great. I don't care who was singing.
But I think for certain entertainment, like, if you're a musician, I think not that it's easier, because it's still, you have to get up and do it every single night. You have to have your vocal cords prepared and be okay to be able to sing or rap or whatever the case may be. But yeah, I think comedians is a different animal.
Stressful.
Oh yeah,
very stressful. You're either funny or you're not.
And they let you know right away. You either hit the joke or you don't, and they're like, "Yeah, this is not good. We're gonna boo you.
Yeah,
we're not gonna laugh at all." But yeah, if my backstage would be very subdued, I'd be chilling. Probably have, some calming music, some massage music going on.
What?
I'd be chilling. I might get a massage.
Is Deshaun there?
Nah, I don't need Deshaun for my massage. Deshaun keep his damn hands to himself. He didn't touch me. I need hundreds of hands all over my body from Deshaun. I'll pass.
Question number 2.
All right, we were talking about dynasties earlier, and the Florida Panthers was the conversation at hand, whether or not they are a dynasty, even though they've only won one Stanley Cup in 3 years, have a chance to make it 2. But from the 618, would you guys consider the Buffalo Bills losing 4 straight Super Bowls a dynasty?
Yeah, I saw that one come through, and as crazy as it sounds, because I do feel like to be a dynasty, you gotta win 3 out of 5, 3 out of 6. I feel like 3 is the number. But with the Buffalo Bills, I kind of give them a pass and call them a dynasty. Because to make it to 4 straight Super Bowls
incredible.
Is absurd.
Yeah.
It is. It is absurd. So, yeah, I feel like even though they never won one in that 4-year span, that is a dynasty because, I mean, you win the AFC 4 times, you make it to the biggest game of the year, you're just unable to beat Dallas twice, the Redskins at one when they were the Redskins and the
basically
Giants.
the NFC East.
Yeah, pretty much. Minus the Eagles. Yeah.
I think they're a dynasty for sure.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that getting to the Super Bowl is tough enough. I mean, look at how tough it's been for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Now they've won a couple, okay, obviously. But yeah, I would say they're a dynasty at that point.
Question number 3.
A little bit of a personal question, but a lot of people go through this. From the 314, hey, Jamie, I'm a 25-year-old type 1 diabetic. I got diagnosed when I was 11. You talked about your daughter being type 1 diabetic. How do you know she was a diabetic? How old was she when she became a diabetic? And do you know anything about it before she became a diabetic? And do you still check in with her numbers? Love the show.
Yeah, I check in all the time with her numbers. I mean, as a parent, you're constantly, for me anyways, I'm constantly monitoring the well-being of my child while she's at school, at work, out with her friends. I mean, sleeping, all those times I want to make sure she's doing good. And it's kind of an odd story, kind of an incredible story is how we found out was she started to look pale and wasn't feeling quite right. And then her appetite was insatiable. Like I was making her like 2 and 3 sandwiches for lunch and she was pounding through this stuff, like coming home. I was like starving. I was like, what the hell is going on? Maybe it's a growth spurt, you know?
Right.
And then she just started to get lethargic a little bit. And we had my ex and I had 2 Akitas at the time. And the one Akita, like she was friendly and all that, but like she wasn't a lap dog. Well, one day my daughter's laying on the couch and she crawls up and like lays on her belly. and then wouldn't move. And we were like, trying to, she'd like, brrr. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? And then I was like, this is really weird. So my ex-wife and I decided to call the doctor and just book an appointment. Like, we're like, something's up. Like, dogs have an intuition.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
there's something like, I don't know. I didn't believe in it at the time, but I didn't disbelieve it.
Right.
We get to the office, and the doctor starts asking us questions. My dad was a type 2 diabetic, and my ex, her family has some type 2 diabetics, so we know some of the symptoms, right, of what goes on. And then as the doctor was talking about her insatiable appetite, this, it like hit us like a ton of bricks, like, oh my God. So then she says, I'll be right back. I'm going to finger prick her. And we knew, like, okay, like, all of these things are, like, just dead on.
Yeah.
And so she finger pricked, and she was, like, 600. Well, you're supposed to be, like, 90.
Oh.
And so, or you can go into DKA, which is really dangerous. And so she paused and was like, okay, you're going to take her, we're going to get her in an ambulance. We're going to take her to the hospital. Dad, you're going to go home, pack a bunch of stuff for her, meet us at the hospital. And we got to get her down. So they got her into the emergency room and worked her numbers down and gave her insulin and things like that. But it all started because the dog was laying on her.
Yeah.
The dog did something she'd never done before.
Yeah.
And so it sparked our interest. And it's a daily battle. Diabetes is never a set course. Like, every day is a brand new day. And something you ate today might have a different reaction tomorrow with your body. So it's an ongoing battle, and I wish our listener all the best, man, and stay healthy. All right, that's part one of the Sports Six-Pack. More of the Six-Pack, we come back. Again, the number 314-399-9646. More next on 101 ESPN. All right, St. Louis, listen up. I can tell you this right now. If you're looking to sell your home anywhere in the St. Louis area, you must give my friend Gloria Lou a call today. She is the best in the business, and that's Gloria Lou with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. She's been in the business for over 20 years, and look, the real estate world is tough to navigate sometimes because we sometimes think our home is worth more than it actually is, or we hear about all these massive success stories, 20, 30,000 over list price. Sometimes that's not reality. Sometimes that's not where the market is in the moment, and that's why Gloria Lou is so important, because she's going to help you price your home to sell quickly, because that's what you want, and for the most money she can. If that means way above list price, well, great. That's fantastic. But she's going to sell your home quickly and get you the money that you want. And that's why it's important to call her and ask her these questions, set up an appointment, whatever it is you're looking to do. And I'll give you her number right here. But when you call her, tell her that Jamie Rivers sent you in. Again, that number's 314-325-6888. That's 314-325-6888. Or you can always visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
It's time for the Fast Lane to answer your sports questions.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions, and I want to have them answered immediately.
Asking me all these weird questions.
Answer the question.
Answer the question.
Answer me!
The Sports Six-Pack is refreshed by the Finnish Long Drink, Finland's best-kept secret. A sparkling citrus beverage made with real liquor. Visit thelongdrink.com. Must be 21 years of age or older. Drink responsibly.
Welcome back to the Fast Lane. It is part 2 of our Sports Six-Pack. Marshy, what do you got?
Question number 4.
All right, from the 618, do you guys think that the OKC Thunder can become a better dynasty than the mid-2010 Golden State Warriors, considering they have draft pick capital to acquire any superstar?
I don't think so. I mean, I maybe because I am such a fan of the Golden State Warriors and what they were able to do, especially once they added KD, it really took their team to a completely different level. I don't think so. I mean, that team went to 4 finals in 6 years or 5 years, won 3 championships, and they were just spectacular. OKC is gonna they got some guys, but they don't have 2 or 3 guys like the Warriors had at that time. So I don't think so. They'll be lucky to win this series.
Is that where we're at right now?
I honestly thought OKC would just boat race. That's the right word, right? Mm-hmm. I know we like to. These are
the variations of it, Carey. It's quite fine.
Okay.
You make it your own. It's fine.
I thought they were going to beat the hell out of the Pacers. I honestly thought they would be done in 5, and here we are going into Game 5 tied up. So I wouldn't be surprised. Indiana, for some reason, is weird and herky-jerky, and it's a weird team for the OKC Thunder, a team that really did boat race pretty much everybody this entire season, but now they're struggling with this Indiana team. So you got to win one in order to start the championship, unless you're the Buffalo Bills, and I don't want to hear anything else about it.
Yeah.
Question number 5.
From the 801, is Jim Montgomery a finalist and or winner of the Jack Adams Award if the Blues get at least 5% better next year?
I think it would have to be more than 5%. And the reason being is like Spencer Carberry won it this year, where the Capitals limped into the playoffs the year before. And then they were fighting this year for the President's Trophy for most of the season. That is much more than a 5% increase for that team. So for Monty, the problem for him and it's a good one because he got the team into the playoffs, or he was part of the reason the team got in the playoffs this past season. But now, the voting world has seen that. So now, what's the next step for the Blues? If he wins the division, then okay, then let's talk, right? But if it's just 5% better, then the team is only 5% better, which means maybe you're a wild card team again, and maybe you win the first round.
Can somebody tell me how many wins 5% is? I mean, not anybody in here.
Yeah, you know better than that.
I don't know that.
You know better than that.
I wasn't talking about in here.
So I think that would be tough for him to.
5 more wins? 6 more wins?
Carey, you're asking the wrong guy. You're asking the wrong guy.
Is there any world that we live in which the Blues are one of, if not the best team in the NHL in the regular season? Or is that just too far of a stretch? Am I too hyped up?
No, Andrew, I think you're cute right now, okay?
Well, you did say that earlier,
I
too.
I do. The only problem I have, what'd you say? Are they one of the top teams in the NHL
One
next
of
year?
the top in the regular season.
Well,
President Trophy.
The Florida Panthers, the Lightning, the Leafs will exist. The Ottawa Senators are going to get better. The Washington Capitals are there. The Hurricanes. You got to imagine that some of the other teams are going to continue to get better. Mm-hmm. Your own division, by the way, is going to have the Winnipeg Jets, the Dallas Stars, the Colorado Avalanche, and Minnesota Wild are going to get better because they don't have any dead cap space anymore. The Utah Hockey Club just foaming at the mouth to get some good players in there.
They're the Mammoth now.
Yeah, they got a name now, Jamie.
Yep.
Put some respect on their
That's
name.
right. That's it. Tusks up is what they say.
Tusks up?
Vegas, yep. They're doing that. They're doing this. They're tusks up.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Tusk up.
Okay.
Vegas, Edmonton's still going to be around. I don't know if they're one of the top teams in the NHL as far as the top 5 or 6 teams. And quite honestly, in their own division, it's going to be an absolute friggin' war. So, do I think that they could be a top 3 team in their division? Yeah. You could squint a little bit. I just think it's the Central Division is going to be one of the toughest divisions, if not the toughest in the NHL. In fact, it will be. And you still have a lot of good teams throughout the league. So I don't know if they're projected to be that next year.
It's 4 games. We got the math.
4 wins?
Who are we
4 more
trusting?
wins.
Who are we trusting for that?
Well, I got a couple of answers here. Somebody says it's a 2 to 3 win improvement. I got 4 twice. So we're going to go with 4 wins. That's what I was thinking anyway.
About 8 points.
Yeah.
Okay.
Question number 6.
All right, we get a question from the 618. In your history of playing from all ages and watching sports, what one person do you wish would have won a championship but never did?
For me, it's Joe Thornton. It is. I played with Jumbo Joe in Boston. He was my roommate. Just an all-time unbelievable dude. Like, you hear about it all the time. Just he was a great hockey player. Obviously, you see his stats. He's going to be a Hall of Famer one day, all that stuff. But just one of the best dudes to ever lace him up. And it just, it pains me that he never got a chance to lift the Stanley Cup up over his head. So I'd say Joe Thornton in the NHL.
For me, Allen Iverson. Like, watching how hard he played night in and night out, being undersized, being extremely gifted in the way that he was, make it to a NBA Finals, but unable to come out with the victory, is Allen Iverson for me. He was just fun to watch, and he changed the game of basketball in certain aspects for me.
I like it. There's also another one that hasn't won a Stanley Cup yet, and some call him the greatest player in the game today. That's Connor McDavid. Will Connor McDavid be viewed differently if the Oilers lose again in the Stanley Cup final? We're going to talk about that next, right here on 101 ESPN. It's a fast lane here on 101 ESPN. Before we get into McDavid thing, I want to respond to a text on our Air Comfort Service text line from the 314. It says, Jamie, how do you reconcile Thornton's cheap shot on David Perron? Why is that an issue? Why would I have to reconcile that? Do you know how many stupid things happen in the course of a game? Like, so many stupid things. Do you think, how does Cale Makar reconcile almost ending Gabriel Landeskog's career, which is his teammate, because his skate cut through the nerve on his leg? How does he reconcile that? It's part of the game. It happens, right? Do I think Joe Thornton meant to cheap shot David Perron? No. Do I think he meant to hit him? Yeah, I think he meant to hit him. I don't think he meant to cheap shot him. But even if he did, everybody makes dumb decisions at times. And it doesn't mean the man can't lift a Stanley Cup over his head at some point. I mean, am I way off on this one?
No. Nah.
And, like, I love David Perron, too. He's a very good friend of mine. And I'd say it if he was standing here in the room. And I think David Perron would say the same thing, that it's not ideal and it wasn't fun, but, hey, it happens, you know? So I don't necessarily feel like we have to reconcile for a hit that was made on a player, like, 15 years ago.
It'll be fine.
Maybe I'm wrong. If I am, that's fine. I'll live with it. All right.
You're not wrong, Jamie.
Thank you, Carey.
Yep, no problem.
So before the break, we talked about Connor McDavid and whether or not he will be viewed differently if he loses again in the Cup final. I want to hear what you guys have to think first. Carey, what do you think?
I don't think he's viewed differently. I think winning a championship is not an individual thing. Right, it is a team thing, and it is. I think it's unfortunate when we look at people like Charles Barkley or Allen Iverson or Dan Marino and say, "You by yourself never won a championship. You stink." It's a team sport, right? If it's an individual sport, if it's golf, if it's tennis, if it's track and field, and you're running your individual sport, like your individual event, yeah. But when it's a team sport, I think it's difficult to downgrade a person's talent or the how good their career was based on not winning a championship. But I know that we often do that. We're gonna talk about Lamar Jackson if he never wins one, Josh Allen if he never wins one. Hey, they were unable to get it done. There's 52 other people on the team that don't mind the kickoff return that fumbled the kickoff and the other team recovered it. Like, there's so many other factors that go into it. So no, I don't take away from a person's career or their legacy based on they didn't win a championship or they were unable to win a championship, because there's so many factors that go into winning a championship and being in the right place with the right teammates at the right time, right coaching staff. It's really hard to do, and it's much harder than people would ever give it credit for.
Yeah.
I think that's the correct answer. However,
that is
the correct answer.
Yep, that's it.
That's the correct answer, Carey. But
however, you're not wrong. Let me tell you how wrong you are.
As sports fans, when we go sit at a bar, these are the conversations that come up. You're naming players that potentially, and he still has a lot of career left here, so he probably, hell, there's 2 games left potentially, so he could still win it. But yeah, no, I think some people will look at Connor McDavid and be like, man, this guy, he's the best player in the world, but he can't win the cup. Can't win the cup. But you're right, Carey.
So unfortunate.
100%. 100%.
He doesn't play goalie.
But they're saying the same stuff about Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. We don't talk about the other dudes that you've never heard of on the team, that if that guy made a mistake that led to the game ending in favor of the other team, we don't really talk about that other than a clip for, a couple minutes and a highlight. But ultimately it's, Josh Allen couldn't get it done, or Connor McDavid couldn't get it done. He's got 1 goal this series, 6 assists. He's -3 and plus minus. That doesn't really matter, but maybe it does. I think the question or the conversation should revolve around the fact that if he's playing literally any other team in a different year, he probably has 2 cups now. But the fact that he just ran into a bulldozer of the Florida Panthers, he probably, based on what we've seen, probably doesn't come out with a Stanley Cup again.
I hate that.
And I wonder if this next game, like, if people are thinking the way that I'm talking right now, if this next game, not his legacy per se, but a lot of the mindset or the view of people that they have on him, I wonder if it comes down to tomorrow night and how he performs.
Well, let's just go a little further with this, okay? Do we think that if for some reason the Oilers don't win the Cup again, do we think that's the last time Connor McDavid gets to a Stanley Cup final?
I don't think so.
Maybe
it's hard to tell.
Maybe with the Oilers.
Hard. So there's where I'm headed. Is next season will be Connor McDavid's last year as an Edmonton Oiler under contract.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know what the rest is like.
St. Louis Blues, here he comes. Thank you, Jamie.
I don't know if we're going to have 15 or 16 or 20 million for that matter. Who knows what he'll command?
Yeah, we'll start a GoFundMe.
But Connor McDavid, much like Ray Bourque, now Ray Bourque was literally the end of his career.
Right.
He went to Colorado to a super team to win a Stanley Cup. There's nothing that says Connor McDavid might say, I've had enough of this Edmonton experience. Yeah. I see the team going in the wrong direction because we're barely keeping it taped together as it is. We don't have a good goalie. We don't have a great defensive core. I can see him saying, you know what? Toronto looks like a fun spot to be. Or Detroit seems like a fun spot to be, to where like you pick a team that's on the uprise, and Detroit it certainly changes trajectory right there too. And some are speculating that the Red Wings have purposely left a whole slew of cap space for that next season.
They've been planning 10 years. They've purposely sucked for 10 years.
Steve Yzerman's a sick, twisted dude, and he might. It's in play. And when you look at just look at the salary cap overall, like they got $21 million this offseason, and that's for this year. That's just in cap space available. And you better believe that when the time comes for Connor McDavid, if he wants to leave Edmonton, there are going to be a ton of teams that free up a lot of space for him.
I'm not saying that this has happened before. Not saying that at all. But I wonder if the NHL maybe wants Connor McDavid in the States.
See, I would disagree with that because the Canadian market is obviously you're having to pay out U.S. dollars while making Canadian money in return. So having someone like Connor McDavid, where you're selling so much more merchandise, like you almost have to sell twice as much to make the same money as an American team. So if he leaves the Canadian market, who the hell is buying Edmonton Oilers stuff?
Well, I mean, you still have Draisaitl.
Yeah, okay, but you're right. You have Leon Draisaitl, but you don't have Connor McDavid anymore.
For sure.
So wherever he goes, there's going to be a spike in revenue.
Well, maybe he goes to the States.
Maybe. He could. Maybe
I'm just saying, we've seen it happen before.
What if he goes to the Florida Panthers?
Oh, man. Then he'd be Kevin Durant. He'd be Kevin Durant.
He would kind of be Kevin Durant, although Kevin Durant still did win one, even though
I think he won 2.
He was a passenger.
He won 2 with the Warriors.
So, just for fun, the Red Wings cap space for the following offseason will be $55 million.
That's a lot.
55?
$55 million.
That's enough to get some things done, I'm sure.
Do you think if Connor McDavid does not have the game that we, I don't know, expect him to is the right word, but if he does not have a good game, a Connor McDavid-esque game tomorrow night, and they end up losing, like what is that? Does that change? Like again, like does that change how like people think about him? Like this is the biggest moment of your career outside of Game 7, and then I guess the frozen face-off. That's college hockey. The Four Nations. Like, is that Connor McDavid going to show up?
It's a text right here from the 618. You always look at the star players where like they weren't able to push their team or other players over the edge, whether it's fair or not. It says unless that player balled out every game and was clearly the only reason that they were in the series, then that's the only way. You don't look at them and say it's not their fault.
Can you say that about Connor McDavid in this series, or could you say that more so about Leon Draisaitl?
I think you say that more about Leon Draisaitl in this series.
In this series in particular? Yeah. Probably.
Now, last year, he is like the main reason why they even came back and forced a Game 7.
Now, that being said, by the way, guys, Connor McDavid is tied with Leon Draisaitl in points for the playoffs. So we look at Draisaitl. He's had some clutch goals.
Right.
4 overtime goals throughout this playoff run, but Connor McDavid still, I mean, this team is clearly fueled by 3 players.
Right.
It's McDavid, Draisaitl, and Evan Bouchard, who's got 23 points. So without those 3 or any combination of one of those missing, which could be a thing because Evan Bouchard, as much as I don't think he's a great all-around defenseman, in fact, I know he's not, but he puts up points.
Right.
He's going to get paid. He's going to get $10 million probably in the offseason. How much more of the pie will be available for Connor McDavid, especially since they're paying Leon Draisaitl what they're paying currently?
Well, and should he take a pay cut?
Connor McDavid?
Yeah.
No. You're expecting him to do the Tom Brady?
And the Sidney Crosby.
Yeah, but those guys did it after winning a championship. So Tom Brady's first real season, he wins a championship. He's the backup QB. After that, they go back to a year. They miss a year, go back again. Like, by the time it's time for Tom Brady to get paid, he's already got 2 Super Bowls in his back pocket.
And he wants to win.
And he wants to keep winning.
He's obsessed with winning.
He was married to someone who was making more money than him.
Well, both times, for that matter.
Yeah.
His first wife, the actress, I forget her name.
Bridget Moynihan.
I always thought she was cute, too.
Yeah.
I just watched a movie. She was in it.
She's in
She's in that. I think she's in, what's the movie called? It's Serendipitous? Serendipity.
Yeah. So, but again, different situations. And as far as Sidney Crosby's concerned, I think it was early in his career, too. He was able to win a cup. And then all of a sudden, like the rest, Sidney Crosby, too, he makes so much money.
Right.
You know, he's like, okay, I can take a pay cut. Connor McDavid probably makes so much money, too. He could take a pay cut. But you have to believe, then, that the team you're staying with is able to continue this. When I look at this Oilers roster, I don't believe this is a team. It's not sustainable. Corey Perry's 40 years old. He's going to be gone at some point. Evander Kane looks like he's lost a step and a half out there. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, what is he without McDavid?
Right.
Your defensive core, if Bouchard is your number 1 defenseman, like you're paying him $10 million, who's your goalie? So if I'm Connor McDavid, I see a lot of problems with my team to where, why would I take a pay cut?
When you don't.
If I take a pay cut, we're still not going to be able to put a really good team together.
Would he take a pay cut if he went to Toronto?
He might. He might
from
say,
the area.
He might say, hey, guys, listen, instead of $15 million, I'll play for 12.
Yeah.
But I need you guys to go get a number 1 defenseman because Morgan Riley can't play the power play with me. He just can't. So, you know what I mean? Like, and Toronto would probably find a way to make it work. And those are just a couple of teams. I'm sure there's a lot of teams in the NHL that would find a way to make it work for Connor McDavid.
Especially the Blues.
That'd be nice.
There's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
And get it done.
Maybe we can sign and trade for him.
It doesn't fit the blueprint of what I've seen from Doug Armstrong, but maybe Alex Steen.
There you go.
Maybe he says, screw this.
Well, think of all the money that the city's saving by having a free zoo.
Yeah, we could do that for sure.
Get it done.
I'm sure he'd love the free zoo.
Who wouldn't love the free zoo? All right, Marshy, what do we got coming up next here?
Well, we have some mic drops that have come in, and we're going to dive more into the trade deadline for the Cardinals. Even though we're over a month away, you can never get enough trade deadline talk. And so is it best for the Cardinals to have a clear decision at the trade deadline?
That's next, right here on 101 ESPN.
Yeah, guys. I've never had one of you read one of my mic drops. So, anyway, this is Mild Bill. I think this would be a great idea. Is for Mozeliak's next news conference. He should be on stage with Chad Bloom, and then that would give us a lot better idea of what's going on.
Well, you don't think they're going to be on the stage together, do you? I mean,
the relative?
With Bloom?
Yeah.
Yeah. Bloom.
Chad?
Nah, Hein. But either way, Chad or Hein, I don't think they're going to be on stage together. They didn't give us a postseason
Yeah, they did.
Conference.
No, they did. Last year they did.
No, not 2 years ago.
Okay, but Kerry, that's 2 years ago.
Yeah,
That's a long time.
I don't let
Chad
go.
wasn't here, I don't
He
believe.
wasn't. And I don't know if you know this, I hold grudges.
It's disgusting.
It is.
Coming from you. Things you've done over 2 years ago. You're going to hold Carey Davis are going to hold somebody else accountable.
Yeah.
Within the last 2 years.
Hold me accountable for
within
what
the
I
last
do.
2 years, have you made any mistakes, Carey?
No.
Oh,
I made the mistake of texting in, and Marshy clearly didn't approve of it. Texted a message to the group, and I said I fast laned up.
But
it
it's
wasn't
not your
my
fault.
By the way, I don't know if you guys talked about this, but when I sent in the picture of the jet black thing, what is it called?
Just for Men.
Just for Men. I mean, they're down 3-0 at that point. Just so they came back and won.
They did. Yeah. And I, Marsha, you would be proud of me because I almost sent like the Undertaker meme, like him popping up.
Yeah.
I almost sent it, but I didn't.
So you know what? You know what's funny is they started. You and Anthony,
they
Jamie.
did.
They started. Oh, it's over, and I almost said
What do you
something.
mean it's over?
You're like, oh, this game, the series is over. Like
Yeah.
when Jake Wallman, former Blue, scores the go-ahead goal. I'm like, no. Like that doesn't work. I already put mine in there, and it worked. And then they tied it up, and
Can't
I was
have
like,
two in there at the same time.
damn it, because I did type it out. I typed the whole message out, and I was like, I shouldn't send this. They're gonna tie the game.
They did.
And I deleted it, but I think it's the fact that I even typed it out and thought about it is why they tied it. But I also believe because I didn't send it, that's why the
they tied
Oilers
it.
won.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, either way, if the Oilers be able to win this game, drag it back to Edmonton, this thing's over. You know that.
Okay.
Now, what happened? We're being honest today.
Yeah, I think that was just for
That was the one segment we agreed upon.
We agreed upon. Now he's back to his old tricks.
All right. We asked for your mic drops about what you think the Cardinals should do at this trade deadline. And we got a couple more mic drops here. The next one from Brandon.
Hey, guys. First time mic drop. Just want to say I appreciate you guys a lot. I love listening to you every single day. My thoughts on it is I think the Cardinals should sell. I feel like we've been asking this question for like the last 4 or 5 years. You know, do we buy? Do we sell? What do we do? I think it's time that we finally just do it. Just sell all the pieces. Let's talk to Sonny. Let's talk to Willson. Let's try to get them out the door, even though they decided to want to stay this year. Let's do it. Arenado, let's get him out of here. Let's not re-sign any of these expiring contracts, and let's just get a full boat of young guys to come in and actually fully restart this build, this rebuild. I think there's been some good signs for some of the young guys showing up and having some growth. And I think if we can do that for the whole team, I think maybe in 2 or 3 years we might be able to get somewhere to where then we can actually go out and make that big splash for a free agent, become buyers again. Thanks, boys. Love the show.
All right. Well, Brandon, thank you very much. And thank you for listening, too. We appreciate you doing that. And I think overall, guys, this is probably going to be the majority of Cardinals fans is talking about selling. Now, we saw what the return was for Rafael Devers. I don't know if that excites me.
Well,
like you're getting a retread in Jordan Hicks. We don't even know what he is anymore.
Yeah, he was
a
good to start
closer.
last year.
Then they tried to start him. Then the wheels fell off there. And I honestly don't even know where they were playing him this year. Was he starting?
He
pitcher?
started some games. Yep.
Oh,
yeah.
So, you've got some pieces there that you're not sure how applicable they'll be. But that doesn't mean you can't go find a prospect. But that prospect, like if I'm the Cardinals, I need to start targeting prospects that have a tremendous ceiling and not worry about the floor.
I agree.
I'm tired of we're okay with the pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're either going to crap out on this guy, like he's going to be terrible, or he's going to be a stud.
Outstanding. I disagree with Brandon in terms of moving on from Contreras and Arenado. Well, not Arenado, but if you can move him and get something. Contreras and Sonny Gray. I think that those two guys, for my taste, I would like for them to still be here. Now, if you're looking at expiring contracts, and I know that Nolan Arenado is not an expiring contract, but that's one of the contracts you have been trying to move all off season. I would, if you could get something in return, okay, cool. But other than that, the expiring contracts, this is a team, an organization, when you're stuck in the middle for so many years and you're just doing just enough, at some point you have to do something, I think, a little bit more irrational. And not irrational in terms of, like I said, trading off Contreras or Gray, but really just making a decision, like, go right or go left, but go. And don't just stand in the middle and wait for something to tell you or wait for something to say, hey, this is what. No, make a decision, go right or go left, but get it done, and then you can start moving towards what actually is going to help you, in my opinion, win championships.
Yeah, and I think there's value, too, especially to have a positional player like Contreras and a pitcher like Sonny Gray. I think there's value in having solid veterans in those, because how do you create the future culture of your team? How do you teach your players the way of being a major leaguer if you don't have guys that lead by example? Mm-hmm. Sonny Gray seems like a guy, you see him working with other pitchers in spring training, the young kids, he's talking about things. Willson Contreras, he's obviously a very passionate player. I'd be fine keeping those guys to kind of keep this thing moving in the right direction. Yeah. All right, we've got Chris up next. Chris, what do you got for us?
Hey, guys. On the question of whether the Cardinals, what they should do at the trade deadline, Jamie's absolutely correct. No matter what we say, they're going to do the wrong thing. With that being said, they have to buy. They are so close to being set up to make a run in the postseason. They're only a leadoff hitter, a middle-of-the-order bat, 4 relief pitchers, and 3 viable starters away from dominating the competition in the postseason. No! Sell! This is an 83 and 79 team. And it's not 2006. So that's not going to get you to the World Series and past a team like the Tigers. Please sell. This team is going nowhere. Thanks.
Is that Chris? Chris had me going for a while. What the hell is he?
Oh, yeah, he was setting it up nicely.
Good job, Chris.
Perfectly done there.
Agreed.
All right, we got one more, and that's from our guy, Swan. What do you got for Swan?
What do I want the Cardinals to do? I think the answer is very simple. You sell at the deadline.
Sports six-pack.
This year's about seeing what the young guys can provide. You have plenty of young pitchers down in the minors who look like it's about to be their time. Matthews, McGreevy, I'm sure there are some others. Hence is still rehabbing. He's a little bit away still. But this was about the young guys. I think you sell and you set yourself up for the future. You get something, anything for some of these expiring deals. I think that's the way you do it. Now, what the Cardinals will do is they'll be 3 to 4.5 games out, and they'll buy, and we'll all be mad, and then they'll miss the miss the playoffs, or they'll make the wild card, surprisingly, and then they get sacrificed in 2 games, and the season's over. That's what'll happen.
All right. Well, thanks, Swan, for that. What do you guys think of that?
I think that's the problem with this team, is that they probably will be like right in the mix of things, but like just a little too far out, whereas fans were going to be like, dude, you got to sell. Like, you have to sell. But it's Mo's last year, and we're that close. And,
well, why we shouldn't have him making the decision.
Yeah, I just wonder, like, again, I said this earlier, we want the team to win. Is it best if they just, like, if they're going to lose, just start losing now?
Oh, Andrew.
No, I'm just saying.
What? Now you're starting to sound like Carey.
No, I didn't say they need to lose. I said you should trade regardless. But
for the betterment of this organization in the future, Would it just be best if they just started losing now so we knew the answer heading into July? I'm just asking a question.
He's saying tank.
Well, he's
now.
following your lead.
I'm asking a question.
I don't have Anthony here to help me.
I didn't say it.
This is what happens when me and Carey, we're on a team now. There's a lot on the line, and I start thinking like him.
Oh, man.
Our brains come together.
Oh, man.
Well, either way, it's going to be interesting to see over the next 5 or 6 weeks what path the Cardinals go on. And we'll see. We got to trust the powers that be. All right, it's that time of the day. Time for Bet the Board when we come back here in the Fast Lane. $21 million. Yeah, that's right. You heard it correct. That's guaranteed money in prize winnings when you enter Circa Million or Circa Survivor. There's no rake either, which means if the entry goes above the guarantee, all the extra money will go into the prize pool. Sign up for this now. It started on May 23rd, and the registration is open until September 6th. You must be at the Circa Sports Casino in Las Vegas in person to register, which is fine. You're going to love it. You're going to have a great time. But then after that, you can manage all of that by using the Circa Sports Illinois app, and that's right there in the palm of your hand. Just a great app overall. It's really sports betting the way it should be. They've got great lines on all their futures, tight money line splits. They always have the best odds out of any app that's out there. I guarantee you that, and so does Derek Stevens, a close friend of mine as well. They've got high betting limits, and it's just a lot of fun. Get in there, download the app off the website or the App Store. You're going to love using Circa Sports Illinois, and you're not going to want to miss out on all the action. So again, download Bet Like a Pro with your Circa Sports Illinois app and join in on all the excitement. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or text ILGAMB to 833-234.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Cardinals are off today after losing 3 of 4 to the Milwaukee Brewers over the weekend. They'll take on the Chicago White Sox tomorrow. First pitch is at 6:40. Matthew Liberatore on the mound for the Redbirds. Tonight on 101 ESPN, we'll have Game 5 of the NBA Finals. 2-2 is the series between the Thunder and the Pacers. Pregame starts at 6:30 with the tip-off at 7:30. If you missed anything from today's show, make sure you go to 101ESPN.com or check out the free Dobbs Tire and Auto Center's 101 ESPN mobile app. Just head to the podcast page and you'll find all of our shows there. And it's all brought to you by the Schaefer Door Company. Coming up next, we have Bet the Board. I'm Andrew Marsh, and the Sports Center update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
Welcome back into the Fast Lane here, 101 ESPN. Time for Bet the Board. Marshy, what are the standings?
All right, I have 8 points. Jamie, you're right behind me with 7.
Whoa. I made my bet on Friday there, Cowboy. My bet hit on Friday there, Cowboy.
And Jamie, you have 7.
I had 7 going into Friday.
I think the numbers were a little skewed by Bradford. Didn't want to tell you at the time.
We'll go through. I mean, you have a 7-game win streak right now.
I had a 7-game win streak going the other day.
Yeah, Cubs money line.
I did.
6. Florida, Edmonton.
You like that?
First
6.
period over 1.5. Same thing, back-to-back times. Back-to-back Bet the Board. So there's 3. And Mets money line for 4. Boston money line for 5. You had the first period over again for 6. And then Boston money line again. Looks like on Friday, and that hit. So that's 7.
All right.
Trust your work.
It's under protest, but fine.
I didn't update this. Bradford did. Bradford updated everything.
I hit mine on Friday.
It looks like you did too.
No,
Aaron Judge, 1.5 hits, runs, RBI. I believe that was the game that he hit the game-tying home run. Is that Friday or is
probably?
That
he had so many who can keep up.
Yeah. All right, Marshy, go ahead.
Anyways, Anthony has 5 points, and Carey had 4.
4?
See? Doesn't feel good, does it, Carey?
Yeah. What is going on here?
You only had 4. He had 3 on Friday.
You are terrible.
All right, Marshy, let's go.
All right, I am looking at the San Diego Padres. First inning hits with Shohei Ohtani on the mound. I'm going to go under. I think he gets through the first inning because he's Shohei Ohtani. 0 hits. Under 0.5 at -110.
So hitless. Okay.
Hitless for the San Diego Padres in that first inning.
First pitch for me goes out in 1 minute, so I'm going to get this one in. Phillies play the Marlins, -118 on the money line. I've got the Phillies in this one.
All right, give me Aaron Judge. Oh, well, we don't have the same one. Give me Aaron Judge, 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs. -130.
What was the glitch there?
Well, Anthony's in front of me, but we don't have the same bet.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to be fair. And Anthony has Pacers +9.5.
Ooh, boy.
Oh, I thought he was going with the Rockies +300.
I tried to give it to him.
We tried. He sent that thing in early,
He
too.
sent it in so early.
He might have sent it in before we even got here.
Yes.
I was at my desk. And
I was walking in.
And then you responded to it. My gosh. So, CD.
The Rockies are actually favored. No,
there's no chance.
They're plus 147.
No way.
I'm sorry, I read it wrong.
Favored. What, they playing nobody? Do you think the Rockies for the rest of the season are the underdog? Do you think there's one game where they're favored?
Who is what's the White Sox?
White Sox are pretty bad too.
So we're looking at probably not.
The White Sox have 23 wins.
No, I don't think they're favored in any game.
Not even if it's a home game?
I don't think it matters.
Well, they're 7-27 at home.
Yeah. It's 7-30 on the road. They got 14 wins.
Wait, how is this possible? They have 14 wins?
14
That's
wins.
it, buddy.
7 on the road, 7 at home.
And they're going to get totally screwed because
203.
They can't get a top 10 pick 2 years in a row.
That is bad.
How can you be so bad? How is that possible?
I don't know how it happened. What were they last year?
They weren't that bad.
Hang on, let's go back and look here.
The White Sox were the worst team last year.
The Rockies had 61 wins last year. They got 14 right now. How does that happen?
Hey,
how do you get so bad?
They're asleep.
Wow.
Sleepwalking.
The White Sox had 41 wins. The Rockies.
They won't.
No, wait. Was that the worst season ever?
Yeah.
The White Sox with 41 wins?
I believe so.
The Rockies are about to do the same.
I'm gonna call Derek at Circus Sports. I'm gonna see what the odds are. If there are odds on the Rockies
having a worse season
than the Chicago White Sox last year. If there is, I'm jumping on that.
It's probably going to be.
It'll be close.
You think?
They still have about 100 games left, give or take.
Games.
They got 14 wins. They ain't even trying.
That's why I'm going to make the bet.
They probably are trying. That's the sad part.
And if they have anything of value, by the way, they're getting rid of it at the deadline.
Yeah, probably.
So they're going to get even worse.
Oh, it's impossible. That's almost impossible.
Wow. I like the action on that big time.
What would you do if you were on a team like that?
I've been on a team like that.
I've been on a team close.
We won one game my senior year.
You said that year that you guys were going to win the national championship.
We won 2, 3 national champs on 3. National champs. In the offseason.
How long did that last?
Man, it was bad. And I made a rule. I had made a promise to myself. I'm like, you know what? We're stinking. I'm going to punish myself. I'm not going. I'm not going to go outside. I'm not going to go to the bar or to any parties until we win a game.
No wonder you punished yourself.
It was punishment. It was around about week 7 or 8. I was like, yeah, fast lane net. I'm going out. I need a drink. I need a beverage.
So, in 99, 2000, I played for the Islanders, and oddly enough, we weren't the worst team in the NHL. We had 24 wins that year.
Oh.
The Atlanta Thrashers had 14. The Lightning had 19. The Nashville Predators had 28. Bruins only had 24 wins that year. Wow.
When you all won, did it feel like, was it exciting or was it like, oh, thank God?
Oh, I was excited. We had a really young team, so we didn't need an excuse as it was to enjoy a win.
To have a good time.
To have a good time.
Okay.
And so when we won, it was like a quick story. We've got time here because we have the last segment coming up. But we were playing in Philadelphia. In Philadelphia, by the way, they were a huge division rival. They were first place in our division. And Lindros, LeClaire, the Legion of Doom, all that stuff, right? And we managed to get this into overtime. It's 1-1. Into overtime. And actually, I think I scored that game. I think I scored the tying goal that game. And we sent it to overtime. And we shouldn't have been in overtime. But we were flying out that night to Arizona. And we had 2 days off. And then we played Arizona.
Yeah.
And so I'll never forget Butch Goring, who was a former player. Like, this guy was a mess. He'd go on the road for like 4 or 5 games with like one suit, 2 ties, and a toothbrush tucked in his front pocket. Like, it's unbelievable. And so he calls us in before the overtime, and he says, if we win, 2 days off in Arizona. And we're like, what the hell? Now, meanwhile, I had already talked about, because one of the casino guys at MGM, Derek Lewis was his name, he had already set up to have a plane pick us up and take us. So I was like, we're going to get a quick night out, go back, whatever, we'll be back for practice the day after. Well, Butchie goes, 2 days off. So now everybody who was, the 8 guys who are getting on that plane with me, they look at me like, 2? I was like, oh, yeah, let's go. We go out and we win. We score some crappy goal. Claude Lapointe scores, and we celebrated off the bench like we won the cup. Like, I swear, I think Dave Scatcherd threw his gloves off. Like, it was unreal. And then the funny thing is, we land. We're playing commercial at the time, of course. Actually, that night we had a charter. We flew in and we landed. And we got off the plane,
went straight on,
walked across the tarmac, got on a different plane, and flew to Vegas for 2 days. Came back and we got absolutely shelled. The Phoenix Coyotes took us out behind the woodshed the next game. Funny time. All right, that was Bet the Board and Story Time. Coming up next, we're going to close out the show with what we learned and 3 stars of the day right here on 101 ESPN. Well, it's been a great show here today on a beautiful Monday afternoon. We talked about the Cardinals, and we talked about the trade deadline, John Mozeliak. We talked about the Blues being similar to the Florida Panthers in more ways than one. We also talked about Connor McDavid on whether or not he would be viewed differently if the Oilers lose again in the Stanley Cup Final. Many other things as well, and you can find that all on the podcast following the show. And that podcast is brought to you by Schaefer Door & Company. All right, gentlemen, what did we learn today? Marshy.
Guys, I learned today that whoever has the best reverse jinx tomorrow night will win Game 6 with the cup in the building. Because the cup is in the building, we got to bring our A game. And I'm looking right at you, Carey. You're the reason why we're even in this situation right now. So I need the best reverse jinx that you can come up with tomorrow night because we need it. The black beard is on the line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I learned that Marshy blames me for Stuart Skinner stinking.
Kind of feels like it.
I don't know how I get blamed. I don't know. I can't even skate.
Yet. Okay. I learned that there might be some team dissension in the room. I learned that if the Oilers, for some reason, which they won't, they're too damn good to lose, but if they do lose, the fast lane might have a problem here. It might be a team divided in here. There's so many guys throwing other guys under a bus. It's unbelievable.
Like the Cardinals and Willson Contreras.
It's like the rotation against Contreras a couple of years ago.
You don't know the art of jinxing.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well. Be tough for the Panthers to head back to Edmonton after tomorrow night, but we'll see.
Skinner is unhittable?
Yep. No, he's unbeatable.
He's unhittable.
No, unbeatable. You got it wrong.
Nah, he's been beaten plenty of times. They can't hit him.
Oh, you watch tomorrow night.
I tell you, who's unhittable is The Miz.
Oh, he was unhittable.
Yeah, he was. That guy's so damn good.
He was really good.
Put himself on the IR, though. Compliments, criticisms. What do we got?
Yeah, real quick here before we get to our 3 stars of the day. Piglet says, that was an incredible story, Jamie, about your daughter and your dog. My son is type 1 diabetic, too. All the best wishes.
Oh, man, thank you so much. Yeah, it's a constant battle, but she's an animal. She battles through without any problems, so we'll keep at it. But good luck to you, man.
It's time for the Fast Lane's 3 stars of the day. Presented by Circus Sports Illinois. Sports betting the way it should be.
All right, our 3rd star of the day goes out to Chad Bloom.
Yeah, Chad's got his hands full come deadline time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, maybe. Is that other guy still here?
Yeah, that's true.
Our 2nd star of the day goes out to Sheet Talking.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Very good. You have to go back and listen to that one, too.
Yeah, you like the nice threads, sheets, like to sleep on. Anyways, Butch Goring is our 1st star of the day. How could you not give it to him after that story?
Yeah, Butchie's unbelievable. I can tell you so many stories about that guy. Just a fun dude to be around. He was a fun coach. Not a great coach by any means, but a fun coach to be around. All right, that's going to do it here in the Fast Lane. We got the Thunder and the Pacers pregame starting at 6:30. Tip-off at 7:30. Should be an exciting game for sure. We'll be back here tomorrow. Again, the 3 of us. Anthony out for the rest of the week. Thanks for listening. Have a great day and see ya.